on this second day of our new year. It's a great day. This is the day that Yahweh has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. I hope you guys are all right. We praise God for those of you who are coming over from Thursday Rising Prayer. We're thankful and grateful for those of you who are able to go and support, I guess, Minister Dr. Tamach and Minister Tamara as they were on the Zoom meeting for the special women's Bible study session. So hopefully you guys were able to participate in that. Oh, wow. Okay. All righty. We'll leave this to the side. Having issues with devices today. It is what it is. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can. We're gonna see if we can get we'll see if we can get the Mac working. Maybe we can use that as another device. I usually would not use it. Today it is what it is. I got all types of stuff, but as long as we have the main setup, that's the main thing. We got the main setup for today, so I'm thankful for that, grateful for that. You guys can see I'm knocking everything over, all over the place. But we're going to get some semblance of order here in a little bit. We're trying to see if we can do something to make sure everybody can come on in and listen in with us today. A lot of moving pieces. All righty. But thank you for being on. We appreciate you. We give may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Aman. Bakwartav. Barakalah Cham Yahweh. I'm Kofi, headed to Servants of Christ. Shalom. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for being on. We give all honor and praise to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We're appreciative of everything that she does for the diaspora, for the community, and helping our health. We're appreciative of everything that is going on with those who are part of the community. Thank you guys for supporting one another. Very appreciative of having you guys on today with us. Hopefully we'll be able to have Facebook join us in just a little bit. Let me see something real quick. All righty, but we're gonna talk about something that removing the leaven from our home. There is a video that's out there if you want to go ahead and try and put the leaven in, or actually I don't know if it's uploaded yet, but there's a video to see where we left off from the leaven, so you can put the leaven in your box with us, so you can actually see it going in, and catch up with us on there. Let's see. I'm having a. Alrighty. So. Wow. Alrighty. Well, anyway, so as we're trying to get things working, hopefully we'll have Facebook up with us in just a little bit. But thank you for being on with us. We don't have a particular scripture we're going to go to today. We're going to bounce around a little bit, but we're going to bring back an old saying that some of you may be familiar with. Maybe you've heard it before. A lot of people who have not heard it before, it usually doesn't make sense. We'll try to make sure we explain it. But prayerfully, you'll be able to get the gist of it. Let's see. We got so much stuff. Y'all pray for us. We are having. Okay, TikTok. I'm sorry, TikTok. You guys might have to disappear for a hot second. Or this is I swear. Okay. All right. Hold on, TikTok. Give me 1 second, TikTok. You're gonna disappear. I apologize, everybody. I'm trying. Hold on. Wow. Okay. Alrighty. Interesting. No wonder. This is getting. I'm sorry, you all. I'm trying my best to get stuff in order. It's just, it doesn't look like it's gonna work out. Oh, okay, there we go. Sorry, you all. It's it is what it is. It's rising. Anyways, all right. Hopefully we'll be able to get the rest of this together. Crazy out here today. Okay. All right. Okay, I think we got it. Sorry, y'all. I'm almost there. Oh, my greatness. Okay. My greatness. They are doing everything they can to make this as difficult for me as possible, but I'm thankful. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. I think we got this as much in order as we're going to be able to. But at least we got Okay. I think that's all right. Okay. I leave it there. I guess Facebook's not going to be on with us today. All righty. Okay. Well, I did everything I could. Let's just go ahead and get into today. Alrighty. Maybe I'll use this as something that we can look up some information on. I don't know. Alrighty. So, but anyways, let's go ahead and do our Bible pledge. I apologize. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully everybody can see and hear us all right. It looks like we're having issues with people being able to come on and find us and stuff. I don't know at this point, but thank you for being on. We'll go ahead and rest and relax some. Let's say our Bible pledge. Let me get myself together. I'm sorry, everyone. Let's see. All right. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Let's do our Bible pledge. It goes like this. This is my Bible. This is my sword, and this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahweh. Amen. In Yahweh's name, amen. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. It is what it is. Doesn't look like we're able to get done what we wanted to get done as far as having other platforms on, but we'll just go with what we have today. Thank you for being here, diligent, obedient, waiting. I don't know what all this fighting has been happening. Well, we do know. We just talked about it. Be ready to expect the blessing. If we expect the blessing, be ready to put in that expected work that comes with it. I guess this is the expected work. But we praise y'all for you. We're thankful and grateful to have you all on with us. I apologize. I guess we'll have to just set it up to where people on Facebook can at least get the link. Today, we're going to talk about something specific, very specific. It comes from an old phrase that really, at least the first time we see it being used, at least, printed out, is in the 1500s. And it's a phrase that goes like this: don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I don't know if you've heard that before. It sounds really weird, of course. It's something that we would think, why would you do that? We'll explain it. But today we're going to talk about keep the baby and throw out the bathwater. Okay? We're going to talk about keep the baby, throw out the bathwater. They're saying, used to be, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Today we're going to talk about keep the baby, throw out the bathwater. And I'll explain the saying because it is a very odd saying, especially if you've never heard it before. Even if you've heard it before, it's odd. But it is a very odd saying. I grant you that. We're going to talk about it a little differently, but we want to bring up this saying. And when the Holy Spirit gave this to me, I hadn't even used this in a long time. We were putting together our list. And when she said, this is what we're going to put in there, it's very interesting saying. So, and let me say hello, everybody, real quick before we get into this. Thank you again for your patience as we've been trying to get all this stuff to work, which is still not necessarily working. It is what it is, though. We're thankful and grateful for you guys being on, and thank you for spending some time with us. So when we look at this, and we're talking about this, we're talking about this from the perspective of we're talking about this from a very, I can't say ancient perspective, I guess, but from a perspective 15, 16, 17, 1800s, people were still using this saying somewhat. And I'm sorry, let me say hello, everybody, real quick before we get started. How you doing? Sister Joy, Aaron, Sheena, Carla, Minister Jenny, Renee, Cultural Prospect, Charles G. You said the same concept of chew up the meat, spit out the bones. Same concept. Yeah, how you doing? Black Steel, Focus Westcott, D, Wavy Davy, Sister Tanisha, Natural, Sister Sage. If I miss your name on any of the platforms, charged to my head, not to my heart, I'm still reeling from whatever this setup thing is going today. How you doing, Money Green? How you doing? Yas, my guide, Bold Servant, Bold Classic, Big Brother Thomas, Sister Betty, DB, everybody who's on. And once again, Those who are coming over from Thursday Rising Prayer, thank you for coming on over. Those who were with Minister Tamara and Minister Dr. Tamah last night on her platform as the word was given for the Women's Bible Study. Thank you guys who supported there as well. How you doing, Etherin? Everybody, Darius, Joseph. If I miss your name, once again, charge to my head, not to my heart. How you doing since tonight? Cynthia Daniels, I believe. Everybody, King D252, Jackie, is it Big Loy? Charles, we got I got a big Roy in here. That's why I chuckle. Please forgive me. I'm not chuckling at you. Yellow 7. If any of you are still on, thank you for being on. How you doing? How you doing, Cole? So there's an old saying that goes like this: don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Now, what people will tell you is, and by the way, even some places that we've been as a family, we visited old plantations, if you will, and just some of the places in general where people had big homes and had manors and all that. They even did this in some of these places. So when they would say, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, what they were saying is that supposedly, and some people will say that didn't happen. Some people say it did happen. I believe that it happened, maybe not as much as what people want to act like, but it is something that obviously happened in certain places. Right. Some people will say it's utterly ridiculous that that's what happened. It's just like when they say it's utterly ridiculous. People had animals in their home and the people didn't take baths and all this stuff. Come to find out, a lot of that stuff is very true. Right now, the percentage of people that did it, I think that's more up for a debate. But nevertheless, as far as my research shows, this has shown itself to be true. How you doing, Dwayne? How you doing, Michael? So there's an old saying that says, "Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater." How you doing, Brother Alex? And when it talks about this, throwing out the baby with the bathwater, what we're really talking about is so there's two thoughts. So I'll go through this first thought process. The thought process is that the whole family might take a bath and might take a bath in the same basin or tub, right? Water, plumbing, even if you had a lot of money, plumbing was not always exactly what we think of it today, right? So to have plumbing coming up into every room or into every place or whatever, right? People would draw you a bath. If somebody drew you a bath, they would have to draw water from a water source, right? And then possibly even heat it up, right? Some people would even heat it up if they could do that, or if they were of the culture that said that heating it up was necessary to keep you clean. But they would take water from a source and they would draw the bath and then they would put it in a basin or a tub. And sometimes at some of the places I've even seen, some of the manors I've been to, you'll look at the tubs they were using and it's not even that big. It's not even that big at all. I mean, it's big enough to where a child could probably sit inside of it, but not big enough for what you would think you would use to clean yourself, especially those of us that are used to bathtubs, showers, even small showers and stuff. Small bathtubs would be bigger than a lot of the basins that I've seen used in several places. I've seen the one at Thomas Jefferson's Manor in Monticello. I've seen the one there's one in Tennessee. I can't recall the name of it right now, but a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago now, we went to a family reunion and actually went and saw some stuff where some of our family was, on the plantation and stuff like that, and saw what they were using there. I've seen ones in the place where not where Harriet Tubman stayed, but in a manor that was close to the land that Harriet Tubman owned. I've seen a few different ones, and when you look at it, very small basins. And what they would do is supposedly the father would go first and he would bathe, right? Especially if he's the master of the plantation. If we want to go there, he bathes first, right? And then after he bathes, then the mother would bathe, right? After she bathes, then the children bathe. And they bathe sequentially in order from oldest to youngest. And then the youngest, especially if they're a baby, would be in this water. Now the water would be, this is where some people say this is mythical. I would tell you that some of this stuff is actually more practical than what people want to tell you. But what would happen at the end of this is that you finish and the water is obviously at this point disgusting, right? Shouldn't be bathing anybody, let alone a little baby in this, but the baby would end up in this bleak, disgusting brown water. And then when they would end up in this water, if you weren't careful, now this part I think is very sensationalized, but if you weren't careful, you could lose the baby in the water because the water was so brown, murky, disgusting. And now the baby's going to be looking like the water. So they would have a saying, "Hey, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater." Right? Supposedly, there are people that say that there is no sense to that. It's never happened, blah, blah. There seems to be some evidence that that might have possibly happened once or twice if you had a little child, or the child even might have been afraid because they couldn't find the baby in the bathwater and yelled and said, hey, help, can somebody help? I don't know what happened to the baby, and somebody had to come in there and grab the baby out the water. But obviously this is probably something that didn't happen as far as the baby literally being thrown out, but the saying is still there. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You said the five of you would bathe in the same water for sure. It was yucky. Yeah. So some people, right. So some people actually been through that. Some people been through that, right? Or, my sister and I have a little brother, but he's much younger than us. My sister and I, we took baths in the same water, right? So, what was in there, one person was extra dirty or this and that or whatever, you see that stuff, right? But so that was how they did it, especially, and some people even did that. There's different ways you can do it. There's different ways of drawing the bath, but a lot of people just let everybody bathe in the same thing, right? And so you would have this dirty water at the bottom. Now, the saying actually comes from a lot earlier than some of that stuff that I'm talking about. In the 1500s in Germany is supposedly the oldest reference that we have for it. I don't know if I can put up on the screen. I'll try to put it up on Patreon later. I don't know if I might have messed up when I was Oh, did I even screenshot it? I might not have screenshotted it. Well, never mind. I don't think I screenshotted it. I was going to share it with you guys. I'll try to post it on Patreon, or maybe if you guys want to just ask me for it. But there's the oldest place we can see it written. Doesn't mean that's the first time it's said, but the oldest place that we have it written is in the 1500s by a German, I guess we call him a philosopher. And he was somebody that used the term, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now, he was actually using this term, and how you doing, Bruda? He was actually using this term, and how you doing, Joseph, if I didn't say so already. He was using it actually to do something they would have called progressive, which was, he said that when it came to, he was saying when it came to slaves, that we should stop having slaves be, we should actually pay slaves. They shouldn't just be slaves. They should be servants, indentured servants. They should still be serfs, and they will never come out of serfdom, right? That's what he was saying, is that we would never come out of indentured servitude. We would be servants for life. So you still kind of say that's slavery, but he was saying that slaves deserve to be paid wages. And so people would get upset with him because this was very progressive. He was very racist. If you were to take him to times that the way we use this term racist, you would consider him to be racist today, because not because he was saying that slaves should be paid. You would consider him to be racist because he still thought that because we were slaves that we deserve to be in servitude for the rest of our lives. All right. So he was not somebody who was progressive, but back then they were very upset, as people get upset today when you ask for a little bit of leeway. How you doing, Minister Tamach, or Minister Dr. Tamach, Apostle Dr. Tamach? As people can still get upset today when you say, hey, can you teach us the truth about ourselves? And people get upset and frustrated. You're asking for too much. Back in the 60s, you can look at the black and white videos that are there from the 50s and the 60s, and people saying, well, civil rights and children should go to school with your children, and people are saying, see, that's too much, and they're asking for too much, and I'm very upset about it, and things are just fine the way it is. We're doing what we're doing, they're doing what we're doing, right? So, but those people who are saying that in those videos, if they were to say, well, I think that we shouldn't hang those people, but I think those people should have their own schools, and they deserve the schools they get, and we deserve the schools they get. Somebody back then would have said that's a progressive. So always be careful about whoever's a progressive. I just want to throw that in there, right? Be careful about these people who were told, oh, this person's a progressive. This person's a progressive. Be careful, because these so-called progressives, it's progressive. See, it's progressive according to the culture they're in, right? So if you're in a culture that says, man, black people are slaves and they're just property, and somebody says, well, we should pay our property. They don't deserve to be citizens really like us. They deserve to serve us, but they can be low-class citizens in the regard, or they can be property that would pay. Somebody would say, oh man, that person's really progressive, because they don't think that because I'm black, I should automatically be a slave. I should still do slave stuff, just call me something different and give me pennies on the dollar. And somebody would say, man, that's progressive, right? So be careful about progressives, right? Or at least the context that a progressive gives. That's why we always talk about culture. We always talk about contextual facts. Somebody will give you a fact, and if you're not careful without context, you'll start just saying, well, that is a fact, and so and so, blah, blah. No, be careful. Be careful with a lot of this stuff, right? But these progressives, how you doing, springtime? That he was progressive for his day. Matter of fact, the book that's written in, if you do some extra research, you'll discover that book, he is using a word for us that is something that nobody should use today, right? Or nobody should have ever used. So it's kind of like when you read about evolution. If you just hear Charles Darwin's talking about evolution and Carl Linnaeus talking about evolution, and people talking about evolution today, right? The fifth type of evolution, macro evolution, you'll hear people talk about that and you just go, oh, okay, well, Charles Darwin, he was saying that everybody comes from the same place, yada, yada. But Charles Darwin, when you read the full title of his book, what's the title? What's the context? Well, the full title is The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the favored race, the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Somebody might say Charles Darwin, although he couldn't stand us, was a progressive. Because what he was ultimately saying is maybe we shouldn't have classism, even though he was in a certain class that others weren't in. Right? How you doing, Brother Ali? All right. So we have to be careful when we're having these conversations about these progressives. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? How you doing, Elisha? So we have to be very careful when we're getting to all of these conversations, because we can swear that somebody's progressive or somebody doing these things, but we're not. We can miss a lot of what's going on, what the context is, right? But in this context today, when I say keep the baby, throw out the bathwater, right? So so don't throw out the baby with the bathwater is a way of saying how it can be used in phraseology today, because you'll still find some people that use that phrase. How you doing, Noel? So when you find people that use that phrase, what you can think more so is, okay, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. So maybe you'll say something like this: oh man, I'm tired of a parliament. Parliament passed this one law that I'm against, so I'm done with anything having to do with England. Somebody might say, well, hold on. Just because there's that one law doesn't mean that England doesn't have any value. Don't throw out the baby, England, with the bathwater, the one law that you think is dirty. Okay. Or maybe somebody would say, you know what? I'm tired of church. I'm tired of all these preachers out here and they're not living right. And look at what T.D. Jakes did. And look at what Joel Osteen did. And look at how much land Joyce Meyer is sitting on. And look at what I can't recall some of these names. Look at what so-and-so's doing with his planes, and look at how Creflo Dollar's running on the money, and look at how blah, blah. And so all of these, everything in the Bible is done. And somebody say, well, hold on, just because those people are dirty or wicked, the water, the bath water, doesn't mean that the word, the baby, is not clean, right? So don't throw out the baby right now that you've had a chance to actually pull the baby out of the dirt and see and have a living word rather than something that's dirty and needs to be removed. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. How you doing, Minister Tamara? Right. So that's more so what the saying is. How you doing, Island Boy? So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Island Boy, are you still in the Caribbean? If you're still in the Caribbean, if you're in the Caribbean, right? I believe you are, right? I want you, if you can, if you can go on our link tree, anybody who's in the Caribbean or the UK, we need you to do this anyways. But really anybody, you are in Jamaica, I thought so. So if you can, and next time we go over there, we just went over there at the end of last year, but we weren't able to set up anything. But anyways, next time we go over there, we'll try to get in touch with everybody. But if you can, look on our link tree on our main TikTok page. Anybody on the islands, anybody in the UK, anybody who's part of SOC, anybody who's listening if you want. But go to our main TikTok page, click on the link tree. See if you can go to the website and email us. Or even if you want to put your contact information, the SOC contact, and that we can get your email. I'd like to make sure that we add you. We're putting together a group on WhatsApp and some other places just for the Caribbean. Okay. So anybody, please feel free to do that at your earliest convenience if you can. Or even if you want to just reach out to us. I'll try DMs. I don't do that well with, because DMs, I get so many of them. I can't really, it's hard to read them. When is Passover? Passover is April 22nd. April 22nd, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time is when we're going to celebrate on Zoom together. Those who are in Florida will be celebrating in the Beverly Hills, Florida on that weekend. And we'll be there that whole weekend, April 20th through the 22nd. And then if you want to join us again the next weekend on the 27th, we'll be joining together in Tampa Bay. I'm not sure what time in Tampa, but that'll be on the 27th of Saturday. But on Zoom for everybody, Passover, April 22nd at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. All right, we're doing that specifically at that time. That'll be earlier in the day for some, but we'll do it specifically at that time together as a group. All right. Once again, you can go to our link tree on the main page. If you're on YouTube or if you're coming over from Facebook, it's in the description with the video or the link. But if you're on TikTok, you can go to our main TikTok page right now. You can click on the link tree. You can either fill out information and somebody can get back to you, or you can find information on the website to text us or to email us. You can find information on there to get in touch with Sister Renee, our secretary. You can find information on the website about ministerial staff. So tons of different places that you can go and get that information. All right. Okay. Why is it called Passover? Because the death angel passes over. Right? Moses tells Pharaoh, the very thing that came out your mouth is what Yahweh said is going to take place. Therefore, since what Yahweh said is going to take place, is going to come to your, it's going to be every first. So Pharaoh said, I'm going to do what my people did to your people. Right, which is really our people. That's one of the craziest things about it. Is it's the same family, but he says, I'm gonna do what my people did to your people. We're gonna take out your firstborn. Moses said that's what's gonna happen to you, and there's gonna be a death angel that comes over. He tells Israel, after tonight, we're gonna be gone. So hey, eat what you can, get your fill, be ready to go. So everybody took lamb, unseasoned, right? Because you just had to make something real quick. So everybody threw some lamb in there. You didn't have time to put leaven in your bread. So you had unleavened bread. You had some herbs and things that you could pick and that you were growing. So you had bitter herbs. People had wine, grape of the vine that was fermented. So it is okay to actually have wine. Or people would have juice even, right? If you want to have juice for the children. If you're vegan, I still suggest if you're vegan to go ahead and have lamb. But some people, I get there in your personal belief and all that. So, if you're doing that, all that, but regardless, so they knew that the death angel was coming, that they were going to leave. They put everything together. They ate real quick and when they chose the lamb, right, when they slaughtered the lamb, they were commanded to put the lamb's blood on the doorpost. So on the two sides, right? And then even if you want to use the arch or whatever, but you put the blood on the doorpost. And when the death angel came by, when they saw the blood, they passed over, right? So that's why it's Pasachi or Passover. It passed over, literally. When I see the blood, there's even songs, right? Or even people that talk about it in scripture later on. When I see the blood, right? When the death angel sees the blood, he says, I'll pass over. Right. And then later on, the sacrificial lamb, Yehoshua, right? He died so that we would figuratively, spiritually be able to put the blood on the doorpost. Therefore, when the death angel, when it's time for judgment, when they see the blood, right? That's what the blood is there for. It's a lawful thing. It's a sacrificial thing. When you see the blood, that means that you are covered, right? And therefore now what happens? The judgment that should take place, that has to go to the advocate. And the advocate now can advocate for you. Hey, the blood that's on the doorpost, they're cool. They're with me. They obey the law. They're part of the community. They do this. They're part of the kingdom. They're part of faith, etc. So that's why it passes over. Am I? All right. So that's why we call it Passover or Pasachi. It passes over. The death angel, he passes over. How you doing, Sister Shima? So in today, when we're talking about don't throw out or keep the baby, throw out the bathwater, it's very important. It is very important that we keep the baby and don't throw out the bathwater. It doesn't make sense. And what's happened is so many people have bathed in the same place or bathed in the muck, right? So many people have bathed in the same place, from our fathers to our mothers to our brothers and sisters, our grandparents. Everybody has bathed in the same tin, to where the water has become so dirty that we'll forget that the baby shouldn't be thrown away with the bathwater. You said, are Kemetic people and Israelites the same people? To a certain extent. Even in bloodline, E1B1A is us, E1B1B. No. Yeah. E1B1A is us. E1B1B is a Kemetic person, but also too the people of Kemet, even through not just even historically it's already there. We know this, but even if you look in your Bible, even after we had left Kemet. And by the way, Cush as well, and people forget Cush and Kemetic people, brothers, right? They're the same family too. But if you even look biblically, Joseph is married into Kemet, right? Moses is married into Cush. Cush and Kemet, same family. So you're already seeing stuff where Shem and Ham are already forming stuff or whatever. But the Shemitic principle is there because the Shemitic principle is coming from the promise, right? And that's why we focus so much on the Shemitic side. But yes, even when people of Kemet or saw us putting the blood on the doorpost, many of them put blood on the doorpost. And when we left out, many of them left out. And when generations had to literally die off before we can go into the land of Canaan, we mixed and matched with Kemetic people, Cushitic people. Forgive me, who are the people of it? Is it Rahab the harlot and her family that came in? I mean, they were married in. So Israel, we have this really weird thing once again because we look at stuff as far as genetics, or genetics aren't a bad thing. So if we look at eugenics. And eugenics is a bad way to look at anything because eugenics ties to that Charles Darwin stuff. And Charles Darwin stuff was about preserving the favored races in the struggle for life. So Charles Darwin's cousin, right, / brother-in-law, saw what his big brother / cousin was doing and said, yeah, I'm with it. Let's go ahead and create a little something extra. And so a lot of stuff that people think, you think about eugenics rather than actually thinking about family. Families are married in, families are grafted in, people become one and the same, and you become the nation that you become because you uphold the same laws, customs, traditions, and stuff. So just because somebody has locks, it doesn't mean that you're more my brother than somebody that doesn't, if the person that doesn't has a circumcised heart and obeys the law more than you do. Right? Right, it's not Yahweh's will that any would perish, but all would have everlasting life. So Kemetic people and Israelite people, even in that connection, yes. Is every Kemetic person therefore an Israelite? No. Is every Israelite person a Kemetic person? No, that's not how that works, right? But if you're just talking about genetically speaking, right, if we're just having a simple conversation regarding it, where then, yeah, we could say that obviously we're married into each other. We were married into each other before the 400 years of slavery happened in Kemet. Or the 400 plus years, right? We were already married into each other. So we were already mixing and matching for quite some time. The second in command of all of Kemet was an Israelite, which means we were mixing and matching. He marries a Kemetic woman and has half Israelite Kemetic children. There's even places, I think it's in Zechariah. It might be, I always confuse Zechariah and Zephaniah, so please forgive me. It's in one of them, Zechariah, Zephaniah, where it even talks about that Kemetic people are even considered to be the sons of Yah, because you're talking about the same people. Now, the belief system is not Kemetic. This is when we start, see, because then people say, well, then, so they believe in Wara, and they believe in it. No, the belief system is not Kemetic, because the promise, the belief system, the nation comes through who? Shem, but you can be, even as a Kemetic person, graft in, as long as you believe. This is why we have to be careful, because we start doing this graft in thing, thinking only about so-called white people or so-called Esau or so-called whatever, right? Not realizing Esau doesn't mean white. And Esau, what you really need to be more worried about is the spirit of Esau. Right? You need to be concerned about the spirit of Esau. I was even having a dream last night about Job and how, and literally how Minister Shantae has kind of had me back on this Testament of Job thing, which I hadn't read in years and really had never really studied and researched, if I'll be honest with you. Just hadn't read it. And because there's a difference between reading and studying. You'll get some stuff out of reading, but studying is a whole nother thing, right? But some reminders out of there, and people don't even realize that Job is called, Job is literally considered to be Esau, but the brothers of Job, right, who he's married into, will at some point call him Israel because he keeps the law. So we have this weird thing where we forget that this stuff is spiritual. Amen. He was, right? We forget this is spiritual. This is why Paul says that the law is what? Spirit. And this goes perfectly. I thank y'all for these questions. Because let's have the Holy Spirit have a way. Look, the law is spiritual. The law is not on some stuff where it's got to do this. The law was always supposed to be spiritual. Paul says this, that the law is not supposed to go anywhere, but it should have always been spiritual. Problem is we put our flesh on it and we made it what we want it to be. Once again, it says it in the Testament of Job. And it says that Job was Esau, but then it says that he also becomes known as Israel. By the way, if you look at the Testament of Job, the reason we can say this too is because his second wife, Dinah, is the same Dinah who somebody tried to marry without consent, and they wiped out her, and they wiped out that whole community. Simeon and Levi did. That same Dinah is married to Job. So a lot of people say we don't know when Job was written and where Job is and blah blah and all this stuff. And actually, yeah, we kind of can tell you when Job existed, because Job is around the same time as when Israel is having the 12 nations. Once again, in the Testament of Job, if you'd like to go and look for the book, it says it in the Testament of Job. You'll find it pretty quickly if you just read it. So go look for the Testament of Job. I'm not talking about just the 66 books. By the way, if somebody says, that's why I don't listen to the 66 books, problem with that is that the 66 books talks about Enoch. Well, you'll say it didn't say anything about the book of Enoch. Actually, kind of does, but I'll grant you it doesn't say exactly. So, okay, what about the book of Jasher or the book of Yashar, right? Which are told by David to make sure that if you're a man of Israel, or if you're going to be grafted into the royal family, guess what he says? He says, that's Saul's kin. I'm not going to touch Saul's kin. His kin can come on in, but make sure that he's up on the book of Jasher. But many men who swear that they're kings have never read the book of Jasher. And this is why in our men's meetings, we made it a point to go through the book of Jasher last year for many of our sessions. It's very important that we actually know the word and know the law, or how other people know our culture. And therefore, Christopher Columbus, he went looking for Negroes and brought a Negro interpreter, because a Negro back then is not a mahon or a marron or a brown person, but a Negro was a specific type of brown person that was darker, who kept the Torah, who they were looking for in Negro land. And they also went looking for in Haiti. And when they got over to Haiti, what you call Haiti now, the Dominican Republic now, they took a Hebrew interpreter over there looking for the land of Asherah. Historical documentation, right? Right. Like that's not even I'm like, other people are moving in this vein. And when you look at the map of Negro land that people were using until the 1800s, not written by us, what they wrote and looking for us, they said that if you go over to Negro land and to Guinea, you're going to find the scattered Israelites and you're going to find the kingdom of Judah. That's who they look to enslave. Therefore, matching up with what the Bible tells you about, where you think you are poor, Revelation 2:9, but really you are rich. And there are those who say that they are you and are not, but the synagogue of the Satan. And Revelation chapter 3, verses 7-9, that Yahshua says, I'm the one who is holy, Hakodash, I'm the one who is true, Amat, and I'm the one who has the key of David, Dalet, Vav, David. Dalet, in the middle of two doors, middle of two Dalets, there's a Vav, there's someone who was nailed. He says, therefore I open doors for you that no man can shut, and I shut doors for you that no man can open. And when I open these doors and no man can shut, and shut these doors and no man can open, you don't worry about it because you only have a little strength. And he reiterates the same thing he said to the second assembly that he was talking to. Now he's saying it to the sixth assembly, the assembly of Philadelphia. So don't trip off of what these people are doing and all this weird perverted stuff that this brotherly love is happening. He says, no, this is what I need you to do. He says, recognize who you are. Don't go away from your culture. Don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. They might have said these things to you, but it's time for you to realize it's time for you to be cleansed and come right back and be salvation. Come back to who you were originally and come back into that originality, right? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, kingdom origins. So we need to get back to the kingdom origins, the principality. Who are you? There are people that say they are you and they're not, but are the synagogue of the Satan. Right. And he says, I'm going to have them to sit at your feet. That means you must be the teachers and you will teach them how to worship. And I will show the world that I have always loved you. Reminds me of Malachi chapter 1. Read. Let's do this. Let's go to Malachi. Right. Malachi chapter 1. Let's do it like this. Malachi chapter 1. What does it say in the first three verses? My son and I were actually going over this the other day. Watch this. Malachi chapter 1. This is heavy now. See, and if we're not careful, this becomes problematic because we realize how dirty a lot of this stuff is, how mucky, how infused this stuff is. And so we just kind of throw everything out. How you doing, Minister Shante? Sorry, I missed you. How you doing, Donovan? All right, so we kind of throw everything out when we learn the truth because we're just so upset and so flummoxed by everything. But there is order and structure, and so some of you will throw this out because you're going to think, oh, well, I found out about racism, and I'm not going to be a reverse racist. This is not talking about only a physical people. This starts with a spirit. Malachi chapter 1, verse 1. It reads as follows. It says, the burden of the word of Yahweh. By the way, I say Yahweh because that's what we're talking about. Jehovah, Yahweh, right? Lord, all caps. Whenever you see Lord, and whenever you see Lord in all caps, right? Right? In English, right? Or sorry, in English, right? You're going to always see that saying, that's always going to be Yahweh. Yeah? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I had it right. Yeah. Ha. Va. Okay. It's always going to be the same. All right. So the burden of the word of who? Of Yahweh to who? To Yahashadal, to Israel. Right? That's Yahweh. Yep. Okay. If you're into that, you don't. What's the difference between W or W or U? The U sound doesn't come from us. That's not Avda or Paleo Hebrew. The U sound is Greek. That's why you have a Yeshua or Yahushua or Yahweh Shai, the Wa, right? W is just two vowels. When people who don't have the va and they transliterate, they put it into the u, right? So you have a uwa. That's where you get the wa sound from. It's because it's not really u, it's uwa. So you have double u's, which are just two u's. You have uwa, or really technically it's supposed to be uwa, but we don't use phonetics properly. But that being the case, right? I teach this stuff. I promise you. You said no v's in the paleo. Okay, to each their own. I promise you, the u sound is Greek. Look at the Greek characters. There's only three, technically there's no vowels, right? In Paleo Hebrew or modern Hebrew. There's only three vowel sounds, what you might call three Phoenician phonetic sounds. So if you want to go to a vowel sound, there's no such thing as a vowel in Hebrew or Paleo Hebrew. But if you want to go to the vowel sounds, there's technically only three. There's there's and there's I. Is for 19 of the characters. Is for 2 of the characters. I is for 1 character. Anything outside of that is not original. Anything outside that's not original. Va gives way to wa, va, or what eventually becomes va or wa. That's W, 2 V's put together. If I curve the two, those are oo's. That's Greek. That's uwa. That's just the phonetics. That's proper etymology. If you learn the language, that's where they come from, right? And the aleph bet. Now this is where it gets murky. The alphabet comes from the Aleph Ba'at before you called it the Aleph Bet, because Aleph Bet is new. That's somebody else's culture. The Aleph Ba'at came before the alphabet, right? Where somebody who was Phoenician, who was part Hebrew, right? They helped them to develop characters so that they might be able to speak or have better characters to go with their Greek sounds. They have 27, which is why in modern Hebrew you have 27, but modern Hebrew is coming from the Greek 27, because in Paleo Hebrew there are not 27, there are only 22. So, but all that being said, once again, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You ready? All that being said, I'm not going to argue your dialect. At least you're studying. At least you're getting it right. And by the way, so if you decide it's got to be what, then you do what? You do you. Right? Because what happens is when I say this to people, including people that are part of SOC, I'm just being honest, even people that are part of our family and our organization, they are doing their best to keep saying what, and they're hanging out with people doing stuff like that. And that's cool. Like, you don't have to believe me, but whenever I show this stuff and I write it out and I give them the principles and I show them how, the people who they're listening to don't even do that. They just go, no, there's no wa, there's no va in Paleo Hebrew. It's like, well, then show me where the va came from, because there's no va in the Greek. There's u. Right? Like, you see what I'm saying? But if I say that, people will get frustrated. So I'm also always more so on the original tip. But if somebody, disagrees with it, that's cool. You know who I'm talking about. Right? At the end of the day, right? Like, so so the ooh-wah sound is going to come from 2 oohs, double U, double ooh-wah, right? That two U's, double U, double U makes up ooh-ah sound. That's where you get your wa. That's why even people who spell out Yeshua, all you had to do to spell out Yeshua, if you want to say it that way, you would spell it Yeshw. That's how you're supposed to spell it phonetically. We're actually spelling it wrong because you're using a modern alphabet coming from a modern Hebrew prism, coming from something that's not Paleo or of origin. If I really wanted to spell out Yeshua, I would just spell Yeshw, because W makes a ooh-ah sound. But you've been taught that W makes just a wah sound, but no, it's a W, ooh-ah. Matter of fact, if you look at it, V and W, they are very interchangeable. Matter of fact, U, V, and W are interchangeable. Get a 1611 King James version right now. Get your 1591 versions of the Bible right now, whatever, and look at the word under. How is under spelled? Under is spelled with a V because it's interchangeable. You can spell under V-N-D-E-R. You can spell it W-N-D-E-R. You can spell it U-N-D-E-R. Because all three of those characters are considered to be the same. Depending on what language you speak will be the pronunciation you use. Depending on what culture you're representing will be depend on how you will write it. Somebody trying to get to a Hebrew context of something says, let me put a V there. Somebody that's looking at more of a English context that's mixed up, they might put a U there. Somebody who's looking more of even like a German type of context, which is still kind of sort of English, they might put a W there. Either way, right? Even wonder or under, you do some research, that kind of sort of the same word. So that's what I'm saying. Like we have this really weird stuff is coming from somebody else's perspective, but that's what I'm saying. When we learn this stuff, I still won't do it. At the end of the day, the fact that this stuff is in the murk, it's time for us to take the baby out the bathwater, keep the baby, go back to the origin. Flavius Josephus taught us, the Messiah taught us that we shouldn't change not only the way it was written, the most minuscule of measurements, we shouldn't even change the amount of syllables that are in it. Right? So as much as we get on people, I'm not trying to, once again, argue dialect, but as much as we get on people and talk about J is not something that's in Hebrew. Matter of fact, J didn't even exist in English at the time that most of the Bibles that we're using now were written. Cool. Well, also, let's be honest. The letter U didn't exist. So his name couldn't have been Yeshua. It just wasn't. And CH is coming from a modern Hebrew term. So when you talk about Miasapak or Miashapak or however you say it, that would be a che, because in Paleo Hebrew there was no CH. It was always H. So it's not Chezon for revelation, it's Chezon. But once again, there's so much dirt, it's time for us, we got to take the baby out of the water that's there at the bottom. There you go, wonder or wunder, like wunderbar, wunderbar, right? You're seeing just interchangeable. That's all it is, right? But we haven't, because other people have been our teachers, we look through other people's prisms for knowledge, right? That's really what's going on. And we have been in this dirt, in this muck. This is why we don't want to throw away the baby, throw away Israel, if you will, throw away the truth with the dirt, with the bathwater. We need to take the truth out and clean it and look at it with its own prism and its own interpretation. What did Yah mean? What did Amos mean? What did Obadiah mean? What did Hosea mean? Right? What did they mean? What was the time frame? How did they write it? What was their speech process? If Adam spoke the same language as Enoch, because Enoch buried Adam, and if Enoch spoke the same language that Noah did, because Enoch's son Methuselah was the one who trained Noah, and therefore, if Noah trained Noah and ultimately trained Shem, right? And if Shem trained Avda or Eber or Hebrew, and Hebrew trained Pelag, right? And Pelag is going to lead us to Abraham. Then that means that Abraham is speaking the same language that Adam is. It's extremely important. But see, what we do is we say, well, it's all murky and this and that or whatever, and we'll throw out the language with the bath. Don't throw that out. You got to take the language out the bathwater. You got to take the language out of that muck, and we got to look at the language as pure. We've never looked at the pure language of what Adam used to speak to Ravach HaKodash. I'm honored. We praise y'all for you too, Sister Monica. And how you doing? Is it just me miracles? I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. Yeah, they want it hidden. And we're throwing out the stuff. And we here's a saying. We need this to stop being so mystical that it's not practical. How you doing, Tender Shisha? Right? And how you doing, Coleman? It's got to start getting back to some kind of practicality. This is why we need to have our New Year celebration together. This is why we need to get ready for Passover. This is why we need to make sure we're still calling each other and supporting each other. Right? There's a lot of stuff that we're throwing away. See, watch this. And no offense, no shade. I'm just trying to show you something. You can put your camp, some of the camps you go to there. You can put your political affiliations there. I'm just using the term that most of us are familiar with. Most of us are coming out of, and most of us have been familiar with. And even if we didn't go to these places, right, these edifices, these buildings, and we at least were trained to look at the Bible through this prism. You have to ask yourself, let me ask you some questions real quick. Holler back at me if you can, right? There's only a few of us on today. That's cool, right? This means that we can talk to each other a little bit more, right? You ready? In your church, did they ever teach you about making sure or showing you that it was righteous to support each other's businesses? I didn't say that they weren't cool with it. Here the exact wording that I'm saying. In your churches, did they ever tell you it was righteous to support each other's businesses? Does it mean it's unrighteous, therefore, to support somebody else's business? No, but it is righteous to support your own first. Yeah, no, just the offering plate, right? Now, they say, give me the offering, but never, right? Matter of fact, there's people on YouTube. Only if the pastor co-sign. Okay, I get. And even I'm not even mad at that. To be honest with you, I'm with you on that, Warren, but I'm not even necessarily mad at that. I would just hope that he would co-sign as many as possible. Right. I'm not saying that you should only do it if he co-signs, because it should be co-signed if it's true, if it's word, if that person's righteous. How you doing, Larry? Right, Shanghai Larry. So, but hear this now. Stay with me. So, every other group, every other diaspora. Once again, let's not make this mystical. Let's make it practical. Every other diaspora that you see has no problem supporting their own first. Right? But you in church have been told, especially, could I just be honest, in Black church, especially, you have been told, and look, when I say Black, let me be more specific, in Native American church, in Hispanic church, in Latin church, in Black church, in Latino church, etc., right? Iglesias de Latino. I don't even know if I said that correctly, but I'm somewhere in the ballpark, right? In those places, you are usually taught not to support your brother or your sister's business. Now, that being said, a lot of it is because you haven't been taught one of the first principles of the Bible, which is all of them jokers in there live with each other. Wait a minute, right? That's the secret sauce. They took care of each other. They lived with each other. They blessed each other. That meant that whose business you gonna support except your brothers? That's your brother. Why would you go somewhere else if you know your brother makes fabric? Why would you go to somebody else for it? Right? If you know that your sister got a business, why would you go to somebody else for that business if it's right there? It doesn't even make sense. Right? It doesn't make sense. But see, when you have been taught that you are the problem, and the first thing you're supposed to do in order to make it is to move away from what's problematic, and you are the problem. So that means that you want to move away from yourself, move away from your community as much as possible. So the further you get away from your community is supposedly righteousness. But we got to take that baby out the bathwater. The word should have been pure, and your people should have been pure, and we should be born again. And if we're being taken out the muck, then we can't use that same mentality anymore. Right? And how you doing, Maria? Thank you for being on. And how you doing, Sister Donna? Is it Pastor Donna? You made a comment the other day. I don't want to disrespect anybody's titles and stuff. Is it Pastor Donna, or at least elder, or preacher, or bishop, or overseer? You made a comment the other day that made me think that you might that I might. I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't care if people call me Kofi either. Call me by my name. Or you're not claiming nothing? Okay, I just want to make sure. I couldn't recall. Maybe it wasn't you. Somebody made a comment the other day. I was like, oh, is this person so and so? Because somebody said something about that they used to pastor a church. I don't know if that was you. Maybe it was somebody else, or something. Or maybe we were talking about it. Maybe I misread the comment. Please forgive me. Okay. And somebody, I swear, somebody said something. I was like, oh, is that so and so? Right? How you doing, Sister Soul? So we have to get to this place where we recognize truth, right? You were never taught that it was righteous to support your own, but the Bible says it's extremely righteous. And righteousness means what? To be in right lawful standing. Why would you not support your own? Matter of fact, there's laws on how you should do business with each other. There's business law. Is there not? We just don't look for it. But there's business law. Just like there's laws, and there's the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. If we do business, we got to know the UCC. If I do business with you in the UK, I got to know the UCC. If I do business with the jails, right? We're trying to help people in prisons and stuff more now, right? Then I got to know the UCC. That's how law. It's law. I have to know what works in your state or your country. It's law. Excuse me. Matter of fact, I've had to learn some things recently trying to study stuff on how to send things into prisoners. And I'm come to find out in trying to send some of the things into the prisoners. I'm like, wait a minute. When I try to send something in here, it seems like a lot of them are using the same corporations to be able to get the stuff together. So I'm catching on. Oh, okay. This company doing this, and really they just running the racket. So if I can make good, make great with this one, then I probably get into a bunch of other things, right? Where it's going to be easier down the road. Right? These are things that we don't think about because we don't think about laws. But nobody ever taught you it was righteous. Think about this. Everybody lived together. Nobody told you it was righteous to stay in your own community. So you think it's best to leave. You leave, you start making $300,000 a year. You move into that gated community. People say, y'all, it's really blessing you. Why is that a sign that you're blessed? I'm not saying gated community is not a great move if that's where the Holy Spirit leads. But I'm saying, why is the gated community? Why is it the fact that you have left your people the blessing? Right? People have been taught. You were taught in church or whatever. Even if you didn't hear the words, you saw it, where it was more important to dress in a certain way than it was to dress biblically. Yeah, the American dream, right? We were taught to dress a certain way was biblical, when nowhere in your Bible does it say anything about a suit or a tie or stockings or dresses or showing your skin. Nowhere does it say that, does it? That has nothing to do with holiness. Where does it say that the bishop wearing his ring makes him holy? Uh-oh. I've lost friends because of this. There's a bishop that I thought we were going to be cool forever. We had to go through some stuff. We finally got our stuff together. We were cool for years. And then last time I saw him, he acted like I was nobody to him. Right? Because I simply was mentioning stuff that it was wrong. He was out there, he was telling people, yeah, and the holiness, and when you get this, and when you become a pastor, we need to make sure we get you this. And then when you get this, and you got to have the 13 buttons, and you got to have this going on, or what was it, the 26 buttons, and you got to have this, and blah, blah. And I'm like, this stuff doesn't make any sense. What I am interested, though, because I know what that ring is, I don't think that that's a bishop ring as much as that looks like a Masonic ring. And when I look up there, why is there a pyramid over the the baptismal pool? That's odd. Like a triangle shape is cool, but why do you have a pyramid over the baptismal pool? I know what that is. And people getting baptized in that, right? And they're going down dirty and coming up in some dirtiness that they shouldn't be. And when I call out your dirtiness, you can't be so mad at me because I will call you out. See, even in trying to keep stuff dirty, we'll keep the baby dirty. We'll keep the water dirty. We won't take the baby out of the bathwater. The bathwater is supposed to be cleansing. You're supposed to go in the water to get cleansed. But even when you come out, there's some residue sometimes. That's why anybody would tell you, if you take a nice long bath, take your bath and everything, get all that stuff out, sit in there for an hour, 2 hours, sit in there until you're crazy wrinkled, right? But then once you finish, let the bath water out, take a shower, and clean the tub. Because there's some residue that's left. Right, you got to shower out. You got to wipe the residue off. The bath helps in a lot of ways. It opens pores, it does, but also too, if it opened all that stuff, then you're more open to the dirt and everything that now is caking up. So now we got to take time out to make sure that whatever was on us in that bath water, as great as it felt, and as much dirt was on us, and as much as it might have loosened, it might be necessary. You might need that Epsom salt bath, right? It might be necessary for your healing. Right. Matter of fact, I'm sitting up here talking all this stuff now. I might take time out today to put my feet in some salt. Right. That I'm sitting there talking about this. I got this whole thing that somebody blessed me with a long time ago. I haven't used it one time. Right. Might put my feet in this thing and turn it on and everything and just chill out. I love to have my feet. But after that, guess what? While I'm going through the process, I also take pumice, or I'll take sometimes even a knife or something or whatever, right? Because I walk on my feet all the time. I don't like wearing shoes. I don't like wearing socks. So my feet are always dirty. So I'm always having to carve stuff off. I got, hardened skin now, I got calluses. I can walk on stuff that other people can't walk on. That's great. It's from my times even to being in Hawaii and stuff like that, and even other places before that. But I love being without my shoes, being grounded. Something about, even if I'm on the street, believe it or not, I'll still be barefoot if I can, or be in my sandals. Y'all be seeing what I'll be wearing. I'll be wearing the Apostle Paul 7s. Y'all be wearing the Jordan 3s and all that. I got the Moses 2s, right? But I wear them things and I wear them out, right? The Walmart specials, mess around if you want, or if some of y'all make shoes, mess around and make some slides or something. I'll wear them things out. Right. I have no problem wearing those things out. Right. But I'm saying all that to say, when I put my feet in the water, I realized that I still got to do a little extra. And then after that, I still have to wash my feet off again, because even though now there's certain things that are there, maybe there's things that come out. I've seen some disgusting videos where parasites of all types be coming out of people's feet and stuff. A lot of people don't recognize that a lot of your toxins and stuff can come out through your feet. Right. But all that there, your feet have still been soaking in the same place where the toxins exist, where the parasites exist. So guess what you got to do? You have to cleanse off the residue. Hey, how you doing, Sister Mignon? Right? You said your wife has to make you put shoes on when you go places sometimes. Yeah, right. Look, I told my wife, she laughed at me when I said it. I said, I think I've been delivered from socks. She laughed at me. But I was like, even if I put on dress shoes, I'll come. If somebody's having a funeral or something, I'll be respectful. But but a lot of times I don't even wear it to funerals. Somebody invite me to speak, to play, to preach, to help a family out, to do the ashes to ashes piece at the end, all that. I still be in my slides. I ask people if it's cool first, right? The last couple weddings I've done, been in my slides. I ask people if it's cool, but I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be who I am. You know what you signed up for, right? Especially if you know who I am, you know what you signed up for. I don't know why we're playing with this. Right. But in all that, I have to recognize that even though I soaked my feet in it, it got to be cleansed. Anyway, I said all that. We still never got to the verse. Somebody tell Pastor Kofi, somebody say, Kofi, shut up and read the verses. We ain't even read yet. In the name of Yahshua, shut up and read. All right. Malachi chapter 1. We never got there. Let's just read a few verses. right? I'm not even sure how far we'll go. Let's just Malachi chapter 1, verse 1. Let's start there. Okay, y'all ready? Malachi chapter 1, verse 1. All right, let's start there. It says this: the burden of the word of Yahweh. We read this part. The burden of the word of Yahweh. Oh, that's why we went through all this stuff. People were arguing over the wa versus va and the u and all that. Okay. The burden of the word of Yahweh to Yahashua by Malachi. This is what the burden. This word is what? A burden. Preachers, by the way, can I just put this on your plate real quick? It is a burden. Be ready to carry it. Matter of fact, we're going to look up the Avla word, the Paleo Hebrew word real quick, okay? The Avla word. Believe it or not, this word, the transliteration, is actually very close to the pronunciation that we use for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, by the way, we don't call it the Feast of, it's just called Unleavened Bread. And unleavened bread is masa, or matazava. Guess how you pronounce burden? Masasa. It's the same, it's just about the same word. So when he says the burden, watch this, preachers, watch this, any of you, right? When it says the burden of the word, it's saying this is the unleavened. It is a burden to keep this word unleavened. It is a burden not to add any yeast that might make it look fluffy, and somebody might even appreciate the texture of it being fluffy, but a no fluff word is what you're supposed to give. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. Right? Did I say hello earlier, Sister Sheena? If I didn't, please forgive me. Right? There's a burden. A burden, it means it's unleavened. It's a burden. It's hard to keep this up. Well, I'm using the Strong's Concordance, but the reality is I'm translating even from the Strong's Concordance. So I'm down the road. I'm going to try to work on something that people can use. But if I try to do like a word for word thing of the whole entire Bible, it's going to take like years upon years. So who knows when that'll come. But I'm going to try to figure out something. I might even start putting some stuff out on Patreon and maybe even on social media a little bit too, where you can kind of see what my thought process is to help. But I got to give it in a way too where, because somebody's going to ask you, where did you get that from? Well, you're only getting it from one person. So it's like kind of years of stuff I'm doing in my mind where I use transliteration, pronunciation, and then I know what they're doing as far as phonetically the modern Hebrew with Latin, Italian stuff coming in, then the Greek stuff, of course, too, as well as coming in, using that stuff, and then going back to the Paleo. So I'm kind of doing a lot of stuff in my head, to be honest with you, right? But it says the burden. So when it uses this term burden, you got to realize it's the same word, masa, or matzah, is unleavened. So here, when it says this, the burden, you got to realize it's talking about this is the unleavened. So when it says the burden of the word, right? In English, they're trying to tell you it's a burden, right? Also, too, a burden is just something that's on me. It's on me. But they're also saying it's a burden, what? To keep it unleavened. We in Hebrew would have just known the unleavened of the zara, or the seed. So now the word for word is zara, the seed. So the masa, right? So really we would say, because there's no the in Hebrew, we would just say masa, masa zara at Yahava at Yahashara at Malachi or Malachi, right? In other words, here is the unleavened. We're giving you something with nothing in it. We made it a point to prepare this in an unleavened fashion, nothing extra added, the original unleavened fashion. This unleavened word is like a seed that can impregnate you. It's coming from the Most High, and it's being given specifically to Israel through the prophet Malachi. That's actually how we would look at that in its origin, right? And in verse 2, what is this burden, or what is this unleavened piece, right? I mean, later on being a picture of the Christ and stuff too, right? But in this context, that's what we're saying specifically, right? To start, verse 2, Malachi says, on behalf of who? Whose word? Whose burden? Whose unleavened? Whose matzah? Whose masa? Whose unleavened? What does he say? According to Yah, without adding anything to it, he starts off by saying that Yah says, I have loved you. Now, who is you? According to verse 1, I have loved who? You, Israel. Saith who? Yahweh. Yet ye say, yet Israel says. There's a problem, right? It's become so murky that we're having a problem even taking self-accountability. When we talk about curses and stuff, well, it's the white man, it's this and blah, blah. The only reason you dealt with the curses in the first place is because of you. How you doing? Into the deep. Right? It wasn't the white man who knew the law. And it wasn't the white man who broke the law. And it wasn't the white man who was warned about what would happen when he broke the law. It was you. This is when a self-accountability has to come into play. Could somebody have played on your curses? Did somebody make money off of it? Was somebody at ease with your scorn? Did somebody come in and say, well, I'm going to fill you with contempt? Sure. But this didn't start. The curse didn't start because of somebody else. See, get the baby, but take the baby out the bathwater. See, you see what I'm saying? Don't throw them away. Don't dump out the bathwater now out of the basin. You're finished, and you're not going to take accountability. That's take yourself out of there. See, because that's one of the reasons why you don't obey the law now. You're still trying your best to blame somebody else or to do this. Matter of fact, now you're trying to blame the law. If it wasn't for the law, I would be all the way in. What? All I need is to go ahead and say that praise Jesus and sprinkle some Jesus on it. Jesus is not even his name. Well, his name doesn't matter. What are you talking about? Anyone who calls upon the name of the Lord, they shall be saved. In the name of Abba, Yahweh, in the name of Ba, Yahashua, in the name of Ravak HaKodash. That's important. Do you not know that name is authority? Now, look, everybody has a choice as to whether you want to be baptized, rebaptized. That's all about your relationship. But if you weren't baptized in the right name, you weren't baptized in the right authority. I mean, we talking about bathwater today, are we not? If you went down into the water and nobody authorized you being clean, right? Like you can go into some water, but if the water is still dirty, I don't care how much, you could be cleaning your skin with Comet. For educational purposes only. That's for joking purposes only. Right? Please don't do that. But you can clean yourself with the greatest of soaps that have ever existed. Sister Akita could line you up with all the soap that she makes, and you could use all of it all over your body. Sister Kelly could hook you up and line you up with the soap for stuff all over your body. But real talk, if the water's still dirty, you still gonna be jacked up. Before you put the baby in the water's supposed to be clean, but no matter what, guess what? Once you use the water, it's now dirty water. Right? You got to be authorized. What is the cleaning agent? What is the name? Remember, even in the Greek, the word name means nomos. Nomos means authority. It means position. It also means law. So if I'm not baptized in the right name, then I'm not lawful. A baptism is a lawful thing. You see? There's that old saying that you can go down and be baptized. You can go down a wet devil, and y'all know the rest. What? And come up with what? I'm sorry, you can go down a dry devil and come up what? I just gave it away. You can go down a dry devil and come up a wet devil. Just because you went under the water doesn't mean you were authorized to go. This is why before we baptize people, we make sure that they know what they're in for. My son wanted to be baptized real bad. And one year, he wanted to be baptized, I think it might have in 2022. He saw that I was baptizing somebody, and we were down in Miami. And the person was like, man, Pastor Kofi, before we leave, I got to get baptized. I was like, all right. So I took my little stuff off or whatever. I pulled my pants up and everything. I said, all right, if we're going to do this, let's go all the way. right? Went in there, was wet, all that stuff, whatever. It wasn't dressed for it, but he had been telling me before I got there. When I got there, he was like, "You're not leaving unless I'm baptized." I said, "All right, cool." Right? My son saw it, and I knew that he wanted to do it, but I had to talk to him first because I said, "Look, son, no matter what, you got to tell me why you want to be baptized." And then later on in 2022, he actually got baptized at the Feast of Tabernacles in Detroit, and then right helped me to baptize from that point on. But he had to tell me why. You got to be authorized, and he has to know. Hey, once you do this, I also got to tell him. I tell people this the same thing. Once you go under the water, recognize that that's a sign that now it's time for you to fast for 40 days and 40 nights. You don't have to literally do it, even though nothing wrong with it. But recall, it's not just as simple as we go down and we come back up only, but we're supposed to follow the example of the Messiah. So if the Messiah went down to be baptized, why did he go down? Haman, Sister Monica, praise Yah. Yeah, we don't want to get that Cirque baptism. You said, do you think that if you were baptized under the name Jesus, it's invalid? I would say if it's not the proper name, it's not the proper authority. And I would even go this way, because look, so Jesus, even Jesus, which means half man, half Zeus, a demigod, right? And that's what Pontius Pilate put under his Hebrew name, his actual real stuff. He put it under there because he said, I find no fault in him. And what was he on trial for? Blasphemy. Blasphemy meant what? He was saying that he was the Most High, for the Messiah has to be one and the same as the Most High. So that's what he was on trial for, right? So Pontius Pilate did put the title up there. That's the first time that Jesus actually is there. Or Jesus, it wouldn't have been the letter J, but Jesus, half man, half Zeus. Then he wrote it in Latin as well. Jesus. So if you hear somebody say Yesu or Yesus, that's half man, half Zeus. That was Pontius Pilate making it a point, because a lot of people that lived in Israel at the time no longer even knew Hebrew or were not Hebrew themselves. And so he put it in a language that everybody would know for sure. So he made sure all the Israelites knew. He made sure everybody else who would have heard about it. And he had dipped his hand in the bowl, right? He took the bowl, he dipped his hands, and he said, I'm done, I'm out. Right? But so that's a title, if you will, but that title still means half man, half Zeus. But could you say, like, as far as your comprehension or your relationship with at the time with them, what it is? But that's why I say you have to have that relationship with yourself, talk with yourself. I would say that if it's not his name, or if it's not even close to the dialect, then that's probably not what you should be baptized under. But to each their own, right? To each their own, and that's a personal relationship piece. That being said, if you're baptized, the next thing that's supposed to happen is fast. 40 days, 40 nights. Yahashua goes into the wilderness and he fasts. That means there was a period of time where he let go of things. And then after he was letting go of things, he was tempted. And people never teach this. But the reality is, once I'm baptized, I need to be ready to be tempted. And a lot of people, they leave. I'm serious. I'm going to say we have a huge percentage of this happening. Matter of fact, far from it. But we've had some people that as soon as they've been baptized, stuff starts picking up and they give up. You just went down into the water. Don't throw yourself out with the bathwater. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But they leave once they're baptized. But you're supposed to be tempted. You're led by the fact Yahashua was led by the Ruach HaKodesh into the wilderness to be what? Tempted of the devil, of the Satan. He knew that he was going to run into the Satan. And he went anyways, because he was led by the Holy Spirit. And he was, and after he was baptized, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit showed up. The Son followed the Holy Spirit. The Father already was showing, you can do this without me, because he's going to have to do it without him on the top and be separated from him in this period. And to tempt him from what's about to happen, what he's going to go through on the top and the cross, you already see that the Holy Spirit is the leader, the guide, the teacher, is putting him in a position to where he's going to let go of everything, be by himself, and go through some things, just learning of himself and learning about this relationship to the Holy Spirit. And then here comes the devil after the 40 days. So he's still, and we don't know how long this 3-day trial ended. So let's just say this could have been all done in 41, 42, 43 days. Maybe this is done in 60 days. We don't know. But he is still fasting after he's been baptized. And after 40 days of fasting, he is then starting to be tempted. And then once he finally finishes resisting the devil, then come the angels to minister unto him. And then he starts really picking up the stuff. You see that? And we don't teach people that, even in baptizing. When you go into this water and you get ready to go back out there, recognize that before you go out there, you got to be tempted. Yes, I know it's a public declaration to everybody that you are one with the Most High and that you believe in Yah, and all those things are great. All those things are true. But don't forget, here comes temptation. And a lot of people will throw away, right? As we're talking about today, a lot of people will literally throw away. Uh-oh. Give me 1 second, TikTok. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Something weird is going on. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm having some kind of issue today now I'm having an issue with electricity, huh? I don't know. Give me a second. Let me try something. Because if not, I've been having this plugged in the whole time. I just realized I tried to change it to plug in another device. Okay. I just realized that I'm not charging these devices at all. I was about to lose y'all. Forgive me. I'm trying to make this work. We've been having all types of issues. I might have to buy all new plugs and everything today. Okay. Got a device that's jacked up. Can't use it. Trying to get this device to operate. Can't use it. Had issues with the Wi-Fi yesterday. Couldn't even get it to turn on. Y'all pray for us. All righty. But see, there go be struggles. How you doing, Sister Deja? Praise y'all for you and little Destin. Miss y'all. Tell Destin he's welcome to come on to Saturdays anytime. And we appreciate you. Hopefully all's going well with the business and everything. And hopefully Mama's doing all right. But part of baptism is that you're going to go down. And then you're going to come up. And now it's time for you to be separated and get used to being separated. And many of us are not used to being separated. We'd rather stay in muddy water as long as we're not separate. You hear me? You hear what I'm saying? A lot of us would rather stay in muddy water than be separated. And a lot of people don't realize that people are trying to separate themselves. And if you don't come out that muddy water, that muddy mentality that you have, you will lose the baby. Because some people don't want to be thrown out with the bathwater. They're done. They're saying, take me out of this. Take me out of the wickedness. Take me out of foolishness. Take me out of lasciviousness. And they're saying, and they're looking for word. See, it used to be before we looked for church. We looked for church home. Now we're looking for word. See, they used to lie to you. They used to say, I'm glad to hear. They used to lie to us. They used to tell us that you couldn't get the word outside the church. Little did we realize that I won't say every single one, maybe that's a little too far, but little did we realize that even in the word church, we should have recognized that there's not a word for us, because the word church comes from the word cirque. You're talking about a circus. And Christianos, a Christian, is not one who is like Christ. A Christian is one who was considered to have a mental health issue because they mixed and matched so many things. And people who were not Christians thought that you had to have a mental health issue to keep trying to get people to give up their culture and their belief system for yours. That's actually how that worked. So Malachi chapter 1, verse 1 says what? There's the burden. There's the unleavened word, Zara, of Yahweh to Yahasa by Malachi. Verse 2, Malachi chapter 1, verse 2. Malachi says, I have loved you. This is on behalf of Yahweh, saith Yahweh. Yet Israel says, wherein hast thou loved us? This, right? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I love Jacob. In other words, was not Esau the one that was born first? But I have made it a point to show you that even before Esau came out, that the first will be last and the last will be first. And then he says, and I hated Esau. The word hate there doesn't mean that I wanted to fight him. It means I ignored Esau. That spirit of Esau, I didn't give into it. He says in verse 3, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Now, Now this is deep. I laid what? His mountains. This is going back to Ezekiel chapter 34 and 35. Ezekiel 34 says that the shepherds of Israel need to get on track, and he's going to get rid of these shepherds, and he's going to give you somebody that's after his own heart, right? That's Jeremiah 3, really. But the part about getting rid of the shepherds is a problem because Israel's not being taken care of. And he says, we got to speak against the mountain of Esau. He said, I laid his mountains and his heritage waste. Uh-oh. I laid waste to them. Not just I ignored them, but then I even went to a place to where I said, right, and this is Asav or Esau, right? But when you look at Asav, and he says, I laid his mountains and his heritage waste. Not only where he lived in the high places that he tried to put stuff above me. That'd be one thing if he just said, where he lived and he put the mountains above him. But he said, I laid waste to them. I laid what? Waste to them. He uses a term here that people translate into dragon. Now, once again, you got to be careful because people go, oh, see, the Bible's talking about dragon. That's somebody else's culture. Right? Let's actually look up this word that they use for dragon, which, by the way, tanav, right? Which is very close to the word that they use for sea monsters. When the Bible talks about that there were, when he has the fish of the sea, and look at the words they use for fish, when you study that, it'll talk about sea monsters or even sea dragons, or we use the term dinosaurs of the sea, dinosaurs of the water, right? But when we look at this stuff, and it's tanav, if you will, you'll see that here we're talking about a female jackal. Anybody know what a jackal is? Does anybody know what a jackal actually is? There was even a movie called The Jackal. I think it was Bruce Willis, right? I'll try to show it on the screen that I got over here for you guys real quick so you can see. So this is a jackal, right? So that's why you got to be careful. People be sitting up here talking about, oh, see, he's talking about, no. It's a jackal, okay? A jackal, not a dragon. No, but in English, they said dragon. See what I'm saying? Don't throw the baby with the bathwater, right? These are jackals. These jackals are mean, though. And when something is laid to waste, basically the jackals show up. The jackals also show up when everything's dead, and they start to pick at the bones. Scavengers, exactly. So when he's saying here, I laid waste to it, he's saying that, and he talks about the jackals, not the dragons. Okay, and YouTube, I'll make sure I show you guys as well. Hold on, give me a second. Not the dragons. Okay, right? Y'all see jackal. Okay, the jackal, not a dragon. Right, but you see somebody see that, what happens, right? Because we've been trained differently, trained in a weird way. We go into all this stuff. Oh, well, this is about no, not a dragon, right? But it's important that you see it. But now it makes more sense, anyways, right? So if he's saying that he took us and he put us in a place of what it says that he said that he took the mountains that Esau was on, and that he laid his mountains and his heritage and where he comes from, right? Because Esau tried to do something different than Jacob. So anything that comes after what they learned from Isaac and Esau started putting it into effect, he says, I have laid his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness, for the jackals of the wilderness, right? Now, here's where it becomes interesting, right? People don't want us to tell you this, right? And therefore they want us to let this stuff say muddy, but we're going to take this out. And this is going to sound, now look, on the whole reverse racism tip, I will fully admit to you that what I'm about to say is going to sound really rough. But I told you guys, as we continue to go through this series, the gloves are going to keep coming off more and more. And by the way, you should want them to come off, because the gloves coming off is like what you had to take off you from chattel slavery, if you know what I'm talking about, right? In the church, and you wore the white gloves, you take them off, the gloves going to have to come off. I know they mean it's something slightly different now anyways, but if you get what I'm saying, if you know about that from chattel slavery, the overseers, all that stuff, the ushers and why they wore the white gloves, the deacons, why they wore the white gloves, the people who did offerings, why they wore the white gloves, the communion, why they wore the white gloves. You're right. They didn't want black skin to touch their stuff because it wasn't pure enough. Okay, well, we're about to go deep. There is some truth. There is some truth. All right, you ready? There is some truth to the saying that certain people do not have a heritage. And the only thing they can gravitate to is either coming into yours or saying that what's yours is theirs. Uh-oh. I'm going to say it again. This is going to be hard to hear. And I get it if somebody doesn't like what I'm saying. You're misconstruing it, but I get it. But I'm going to tell you it again. This is going to be hard to hear, but here's the truth. You ready? There is truth. According to this word, I hated Esau and laid his mountains, the place he lived, and his heritage, what he came from, for waste for the jackals, for the wilderness. Can't steal from a broke person, right? So what it's saying here is that I loved you, Jacob, and I hated Esau. Love being an action, Esau being in action. And even when Esau got to a certain place, I finally started to even then go into a place of love for you, to where I supported your mountains and I blessed you and I kept you, right? And even through you going through other things and being in a place where it looked like everything would be desolate, I still raised you back up and kept on forgiving you and kept on giving you a second chance because you are my wife. Whereas the Esau spirit, I laid his mountains and his heritage waste, and the jackals have even gotten to it. And it's now, you don't even consider that to be the mountain where Esau stayed. You just consider that to be wilderness. If somebody were to say, where's the mountain that Esau was on? Nobody can really find it anymore. Nobody's 100% sure. Why? Because it's been laid waste. Now the Esau spirit and Esau still exists, but now Esau has to always say that he is you, because he has no heritage. The only thing that's left of Esau goes back to Isaac and before. Anything else, Esau's heritage only goes up to Isaac, because everything Esau was laid to waste. His birthright he gave up. I know, see, it's gonna be tough. I know it's going to be tough. And when I say Esau, I'm very hesitant, and not hesitant. I'm very careful to once again tell you, because I know what people will try to imply. They'll try to say he's saying white people. No, that's y'all thing. The Bible never said that Esau was white. That's y'all thing. Matter of fact, there's no evidence that so-called white people had even become a thing yet. Because the further back we go into the story of mankind, the darker we all become. Right. So when we do this weird thing, a lot of people are looking at it from, no, I'm talking about there's a spirit that has been laid waste to, and there's a heritage that he had to allow that spirit to go. And the only thing that spirit can still attach to is not based off of heritage, nor based off of a place that is their own. Everything that was there was laid waste. That's the truth. Malachi chapter 1 verse 4, it says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished. Right? So you tell me that I don't really love you like that. You'll throw the baby out with the bathwater after all the stuff that I've done to keep you, to mold you. And even as you keep breaking the law, I keep giving you opportunity after opportunity. Meanwhile, Edom says, the people on the other side are saying, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down. Catch this. Who is it talking about? Edom. Esau, Edom. Esau, Edom. You said that Jehovah doesn't love you. He said that Edom is trying to come back. They know that they are what? Impoverished. They are poor. Because as somebody said earlier, it was a Sister Bree, like I believe it was, because she says it often, that you can't rob poor people. Edom says, we are impoverished. We have nothing. But we will return and build the desolate places, the places that Jehovah built. But Jehovah, Lord of hosts, Jehovah of hosts says, they shall build, but I will throw down. and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. Indignation. What is indignation? What is righteous indignation? What is righteous indignation? I'm sorry, Minister Tamara, I missed you earlier. Church from Cirque, we are called to assemble. Yep, not church. We take daily mercy and grace for granted. Right? Help me out. What is indignation? If somebody has righteous indignation, Christ flipped over the tables with righteous indignation. Right lawful standing calls him to be indignant. What is that? If somebody's indignant, no comments. Anger, right? Right. Let's even look up the definition of indignant. Let's just look up a modern definition. You ready? Indignant, feeling or showing anger or annoyance at what is perceived as unfair treatment. Salah, right there, just for a moment. I got to check on something with my family real quick. They're supposed to be doing something at this time. I want to make sure that they're doing Solomon specifically. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Excuse me, fam. Be right back. All right. Okay. 1 second. Sorry. Forgive me. Make sure the family was straight. All righty. So indignant is when somebody's angry, and when we're looking at something and we're frustrated, right? Especially at something that we perceive as unfair treatment, righteous indignation. Okay. So he says the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation. That means as far as Yah sees it, and thank y'all for the love and how you doing, Sahara. As far as Yahweh sees it, he says that I see Esau, this Esau spirit, as something that what I have indignation. I had perceived them as somebody that makes me angry. What? Forever. So you got to come out of that Esau spirit. Don't throw Jacob away with Esau. Don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. If Esau mentality leads you, that means Yahweh has indignation with you forever. How you doing, Emmanuel? Appreciate you. Right? That makes sense. How you doing, Brother TJ? Yeah, displeased, offended, like right. This is the truth. This is what he's saying in his word. Now, verse 5, Malachi chapter 1, verse 5. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel. So Yahweh is magnified, right? Yahweh is magnified. And let me help you out with borders. Because once again, we got to get into borders, even modern terminology for borders, but especially ancient terminology for borders. A border is not as simple as line to line. There's borders and then there's space in between. Is that correct? So if this is the border of Esau and this is the border of Israel, Israel is here. Everything on this side is Israel. Everything on that side is Esau. In between the two, there's a neutral place. Right? There's got to be some space in between that allows people to say, okay, I can go from here to here and I can still be considered. As a matter of fact, back then, even when you had borders, when you had, like, for example, when you had Israel, let's say you had Jerusalem would have a border around it. It would have a chet, it would have a wall of protection around it. Right? But even though it had a wall of protection around it, there still were places where people could live outside of the gate. when you talk about like Robin Hood, for example, a lot of people don't catch this. When there's the Lord of lands and stuff, there's a place where the Lord has, and usually it's his responsibility to defend everything on his land. That's why he has certain spots even gated off. However, once certain spots are, and how you doing, Queen D? Thanks for being part of the community. Once certain parts are gated off, there's also another part that people can live. If you live inside his lands, you're not really free. You are obedient to the Lord. If you live outside, you're free, but you got to fend for yourself unless the Lord will allow you in. But if you come into what is the Lord's, then you have to obey the law of the Lord, the law of the land. But if you want to be Robin Hood and them and live out there, right? Robin Hood and them were not they were not the vandals, or they were not the crooks or the criminals or whatever, simply because their criminality did not come from the fact that they lived outside of the land, right? Their criminality came from the fact that they were robbing the Lord, right? That's property. So his property extends outside the kingdom. If it belongs to the king or belongs to the Lord, right? The king is really over the lords. That's why there's a Lord of Lords. That's the king. The king is over the lords, right? But so there's an in-between place. So when you talk about Esau and you talk about Jacob, right, or Israel, Esau and Israel, Esau's over here, Israel's over here, but then there's an in-between place, and really that's supposed to be for one to try to go to the other. So if Esau wants to come into a place of neutrality and learn, once they show themselves worthy, they can enter into the gates, enter into his gates with thanksgiving. Recall that the word thanksgiving actually means, especially in Middle English, actually means to fast. So when you come into the gate, you fast, right? To give thanks in Middle English literally means to give thanks. But Thanksgiving means we're going to fast. Even if you go to Europe and you were to go certain places and talk about it's Thanksgiving, they don't know anything about the lies about the natives here. They'll say, oh, okay, when are we fasting? Because Thanksgiving is different than giving thanks. That's it's cultural, right? So there has to be a place in between. So if Esau wants to come into Israel, Esau has to give up Thanksgiving, has to fast from, has to prove that they are worthy of coming in. Because once you come in, you are under the law of the Lord, the law of the king, the law of the land. So it mentions two things. In Malachi chapter 1, verse 4, it says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. Right? So the border of Esau is the border of wickedness. The border of Israel is the border of righteousness. And it says from the border of wickedness, those people who are in indignation, who are in a place where they are perceived to be enemies of the Most High forever, it says that will be something that will always be what? A desolate place. No matter how much they build it, no matter what they make it look like, no matter how much fun you think you're going to have there, it's still desolate. But it says from the border of Israel, Yahweh will be magnified. So when they look from their border, right, or when we look at their border, even if you want to go there, right, what we see is desolate. Don't get caught up on the ruins, right? Don't get caught up on the ruins. Don't get caught up on, oh, this looks nice. Don't get caught up on how many followers they have. Don't get caught up on how much money they're making. Don't get caught up on whether we put me in a college situation. Don't get caught up on, I need my children to be like all other children, and this is what they're. Those things you're seeing, Yah says he will, no matter how much they build it up, no matter how much they return, he said, I will always throw it down, and I shall call them the border of wickedness. But he says, no matter how much they try to tear you down and stuff, no matter how much you think sometimes that I don't even love you, hold fast, right? We talked about mental health yesterday. Hold fast to this. Keep this in your mind. Keep this in your mental health. Keep this in your place of recognizing that you think you are poor, but really you are rich. Your eyes shall always see, and ye shall say, Yahweh be magnified from the border of Israel. As long as you're within the border of Israel, you will see him be magnified. But if you're in the border of Esau, you will always see yourself through their prism, because they see themselves as what? Impoverished. They see themselves as what? In a desolate place. They see themselves as somebody who needs to always build up, always building something, always conquering something, always taking. You are more than a conqueror. Why? Because if you see yourself from the proper lens in the border of Yahashadal, right, Yahweh will be magnified. Magnified means what? Magnified doesn't mean multiplied. A lot of people in their head, for whatever reason, when we use that language, we think of like magnified being multiplied. To be magnified is not to be multiplied. To be magnified is to be concentrated on. Don't get it twisted. You see 400 times in a magnifying glass. You see 400 times, 1,000 times on a microscope, and you say to yourself, "Oh, okay, so we're No, no, no. You're multiplying how much you're magnifying. In other words, I'm focusing in. I'm zeroing in. I'm more locked in. Right? What is it? I will bless Yahweh at all times, and his praise shall continuously be in my pit, in my mouth, right? My soul, my nachivash, my sake, my psychology shall make her boast in Yahweh. The humble will hear thereof and be glad. And once they hear, what are we going to do together? Oh, magnify, zoom in on Yahweh with me. And when we zoom in and look at him more, let us exalt his name, his authority, right? The place we're looking at, even from Yahusha, together. See, there's a problem. Many of us are coming into knowledge and we're trying to throw away the baby with the bathwater because we said the baby doesn't make. Don't throw away your culture. Don't throw away who you are. Don't throw away what he's given you. Don't throw away revelation because you found out that you were going to a church or any organization, for that matter, that told you something that was false. Matter of fact, we're in the midst of our season where we remove the leaven from our home. Don't do all this removing leaven from your home. Don't go through all this stuff where we are removing the leaven from our home. Right? Don't go through all this stuff just to turn around and just give up everything you've been doing. You've been learning, you've been growing. You've got a family that you didn't have before. You got people that will sow into you. You got people that are acknowledging you. You're part of something that you're getting to be a bricklayer. You laying the foundation of something. Your babies are having opportunities to learn in manners that they didn't get a chance to learn before. Right? We're actually meeting people who are willing to travel and meet with us. People are willing to trade seed, to trade food. People are supporting your businesses. People are having study groups now. People are coming from being evangelists under Jesus and being evangelists under Yahashua. They're coming from being pastors under God and being pastors under Elohim. They're going from being apostles under the Holy Spirit, and now realizing that the Vakankodash, it's all right for her to be feminine, and it doesn't mean that she has to be female. People are realizing that sex is marriage, marriage is sex, not only by Western law, but also by biblical law, of course, which is more important. Don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. Keep the baby. Keep the child. You have been born again. There's some of us that are born again, and because they're coming from stuff and learning and stuff, we're trying to throw them away because we don't want to take time to sow into them. Don't throw them away. That's going to be your brother or your sister. That's going to be the one who's going to stand on the border of Israel, who's going to help you to magnify Yahweh with you. Watch this. Here's the issue. Here's the real issue. You ready? Let's talk about this. Malachi chapter 1, verse 6. Y'all with me? Y'all with us? I don't want to move without you. We don't have too much time left, but let's be obedient to what the Holy Spirit has. I didn't even notice where we're going, but I can see clearly now. This is exactly where we need to be. Malachi chapter 1, verse 6. You ready? Don't miss this. Malachi chapter 1, verse 6. It says, a son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. Master just means teacher, by the way. So you serve one that teaches. You know, we're used to just having servants and we don't teach nothing. But if I'm in a servant position, even an indentured servant, as far as our culture is concerned, I'm supposed to teach you. That's why anybody who has an indentured servant contract, you're supposed to be taught. Right? This is the bathwater. See, if it's not, talking about the bathwater, if it's not a cleansing agent, then you shouldn't be involved with it because you're not getting clean. There's no way that you can be clean or be in something that God has for you, you don't get clean. Because recall, the word in Hebrew clean also is talking about the word lawful. So when David says, created me a clean heart, he's saying, created me a lawful heart, a lawful passion, and renew within me, once my passion is right, ots towards, and renew in me a right spirit. But my spirit can't be right if I'm not lawful. He's literally telling you that. So Malachi chapter 1, verse 6, after he shows how much you're loved, and he shows how he fights for you, and he shows that you better be within the right borders. Malachi chapter 1, verse 6, it says, a son honoreth his father. That shouldn't be a problem for us, right? That shouldn't be something that we have to talk too much about. And a servant his master. But then it has a colon there in English. So out of that, though, here's a question. If then I be a father, who was speaking? Yehovah, speaking to Malachi, right? So Yehovah says, if then I be a father, where is mine honor? Uh-oh. If I'm truly your father, here's where I'm having a problem, because recall, you just said that I don't love you. And I just showed you how I separated you from Esau and showed you the danger of having this Esau spirit. Now you keep talking about how this, and I just showed you how I honored you. Here's my problem, son. Here's my problem, servant. Right? Because it says a son honoreth his father and a servant his master. He says, if then I be a father, where is mine honor? How you doing, Brother Craig? And if I be a master, if I be a teacher, where is my fear? Where is my respect? Is that in your Bible? Read your Bible. It'll bless you. Malachi chapter 1, verse 6. If I be your father, your Abba, your source, then where is my honor? And if I be your master, your teacher, he says, where is my respect? Saith Yehovah of hosts unto you, Israel. O priest that despise my name. He said, the priests, the leaders, the Levites, my problem is with you now. You despise my name. And he checks us before, because there's going to be a priest out there. And thank you for the love. How you doing, Brother Jermaine, if I didn't say so already? And hello, Sister Sheila, if I didn't say so already. Watch this. He said, I know somebody going to come and ask this question. So he says, and ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? He said, because now I'm talking to the priests, the Levites. I got a problem with you, because you're supposed to be the fathers under the father, and you're supposed to be the masters under the master, and y'all ain't giving me honor, and you're not giving me my respect. And I know what you're going to ask. Wherein have we despised my name? Well, Malachi chapter 1, verse 7. How you doing, Josiah? Right? Malachi chapter 1, verse 7 says what? Ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar. When it's time for the bread offering, when it's time even for the meat offering, whatever, but when you put bread up on my altar, and ye say, wherein have we polluted thee? Because they know the polluted bread would pollute thee. So they don't even admit, they don't even argue that they're giving polluted bread that falls short, bread that is not worthy to even be up on there. Right? But they said, wherein have we polluted thee? In that ye say, the table of Yehovah is contemptible. Let's look up that word contemptible real quick. This is going to bless somebody, right? Right? The table, the tablets, the offering, the altar even, right, of Yehovah is contemptible. They said, wherein have we polluted thee? Because they know they gave polluted bread. In that ye say the table of Yehovah is contemptible. Watch this. You say that it is despicable. You say it is pitiable. You say it's sorry. You say it's scurvy. Scurvy meaning arousing or deserving scorn. Psalm 123. People are at ease with your scorn, and we keep looking at everybody else outside. But remember, Psalm 120 through Psalm 134, those are the 15 steps or songs of degrees or the older degrees, right? He's talking to us. He's not talking to everybody else. He's talking to us. How you doing, Bino? Thanks for being part of the community, right? So he says, he says, you say that my table deserves scorn. It can even imply any quality provoking scorn or a low standing in any scale of values. You say that my table, it deserves to be of a low scale of values. We don't even obey the law. Why are you coming to us about law and being a legalist? The law doesn't matter. right? Just make sure you pay your tithes and offering. But the law doesn't matter. Make sure that you listen to, our deacons and everybody, but the law doesn't matter. Make sure that you stop at the red light when you turn into church, because we're not going to pay your ticket if you disobey the law, but the law doesn't matter. Make sure that you obey us because we are actually pastors and preachers and teachers and stuff, and we are ordained by the state. And in order, right, because to be ordained by the state means that I had to follow the law of the state in order to be ordained by, but still, we don't follow the law. Can you see the problem with the priest? Grand Rising Little D Faith. Can you see it? Even a contemptible liar. Despicable may imply utter worthlessness and usually suggests arousing an attitude of moral indignation, of moral anger, of moral reality, or remember, it on the word just means the way you view it. So the way I view things morally has become degenerate. And I have made, right, if I'm not careful, I as a priest can make the table of moral degradation. Verse 8, and if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee or accept thy person? Saith Yahweh of hosts. You're giving me offering. Now here's the culture. Sacrifices were supposed to be perfect. But once again, they're trying their best to do so. So we'll put bread on the altar, but we'll give bread. We'll tithe bread, right? But we're only going to tithe bread that we wouldn't eat. They're not into the first fruits. We'll tithe. We'll give you money, but we're not really going to give you, like, if we tithe, it's because we just happen to have 10% extra. We're not going to give you the first 10% and then lean on you. Some of you don't like it when we talk about money. Fine. We'll give you a little bit of time here, but we won't give you the first 10% of our time. Some of you don't like me talking about money, so let's go with tithe with this. We'll give a couple of people that we see on the side of the road, we'll give them some stuff like that. But if I bought 20 apples, I'm gonna make sure that 2 people on the street get an apple. I'll sacrifice just enough, but I won't be obedient and sacrifice all the time. I'll pray when they open up the prayer line, but I'm not praying all day without ceasing. That's for somebody else. I'll be a daughter of Zion and I'll prophesy if everybody goes ahead and gives me a little something for it, but I won't be a daughter of Zion prophesying and having men who are covering in prayer. He says, if you gave the effort that you gave me and you gave it to your governor, you gave it to your boss, you gave it to your boyfriend, your little girlfriend, you know how we do your little this, right? Go ahead with your little car. Go ahead with your little preaching. Go ahead with your little business, right? He's saying, if you gave your little girlfriend what you give me, what would she do with that? If you gave your little boyfriend what you give me, what would he do with that? If you gave your mama what you give me, on Mother's Day, if you gave your mama the same effort that you give me, what would your mama say? Right? You're offering me things that you wouldn't offer to them because they'd say something to you. You said, and that was the priest's problem, taking y'all's portion and not offering. Exactly. Right? The priest was supposed to get out of the tithe. They were, matter of fact, the first group of people to get out of the tithe. But here's the deal. Even though they were the first group to give, they were supposed to tithe and make sure all tithes, everything that was given to them, and really by the whole assembly, everything first went to Yah. How dare you look for the people of Yah to take care of you, and you don't, and when they give you what they're giving to Yah, you don't make sure that he gets the first 10%. And you don't take care of the orphan, and you don't take care of the widow, and you don't take care of the poor, and you don't take care of the stranger. And when we have events, people who already got to put in to make the events happen, you don't make sure that there's something extra so that they don't have to put in even more than it was already asked. How dare you have a service and talking about, here we coming for the service. I'm asking for your tithe. I'm asking for your offering. I'm asking for your worship. I'm asking for your praise. I'm asking for your effort. I'm asking for you to defend me to the moon. And then now we need a $5,000 line. Oh, it's gonna get tight, but it's gonna be right. Now I'm asking for a $5,000 line. What? I've asked the requirement of you. I don't need to go past the requirement. And if we say we don't think it's enough, we're giving the 10% to Yah, knowing that he's going to do more than enough. You see? You see? Oh gosh, somebody else yelling about some craziness anyway. So, right, but we're giving the 10% knowing we don't have enough anyways, believing that the 10% is just simply the tribute that says that, Yah, we trust you. And whatever you want to do with it, right? However you're going to multiply it, whatever you're going to give on top of the 10% that you'll let us probably keep, we're giving you the tribute in faith. How dare we give the tribute and then we say, okay, you gave us a tribute, cool, no problem. We're just going to make sure that we give little pieces and stuff. Right? Because really, watch this. This is what the Levite, this is what the priest is supposed to do. The priest is supposed to take what you give and still out of that, give Yah the best of what everybody's given. Then also, too, if you look at the New Testament, the apostles, when the stuff was laid at their feet, it said that they would even turn around and they would look at the people and say, what do you need? What do you need? Okay, what are your wants? What are your wants? When we had the stuff laid out, and this was not in the building, so there was no cost for the building. That's why we didn't use the tithe. We can't use the tithe for the land because the tithe is not supposed to be used to buy land. We tithe off of the land. The tithe has specific uses that it covers. But what do you see the tithe used for? The tithe is used so that the building will be, the tithe is used so that the pastor, but if the pastor gets paid, if that's what you're doing off the tithe, cool, that is biblical. But if the pastor gets paid, then some orphans got to get paid too, or at least be taken care of if their parents can't take care of. That's the Bible does say their parent, check out, see if they got family, but if the family can't help them, take care of the orphans, right? The Bible does say if there's a widow, see if there's the brothers and family and uncles and whatever, somebody can take care of, but if they can't, take care of them. But the Levites were trying to keep the money. They were trying to do everything just for themselves. This is one thing that I'm very proud about at SOC. We're not rich by any stretch of the imagination. Well, we are rich. We're not rich by worldly standards, right? We're doing better than we were at one point. But one thing I can say is that if people have needed help as best we can, have we been able to help every single person out every single time in the way that I've always wanted to? No. However, one thing I can say is that there's people who we've made sure that they stayed off the street. There's people who we've made sure that they were able to get themselves together and get a job. There's people that we can say for sure we helped their businesses to grow some. There's people that we can say that we definitely like for certain trips and things like that that they wanted to take to even worship and fellowship, we made it happen. There's people that we can say that even if we didn't have the money, we took time out to give ideas and business ideas and hooked them up with the right people. There's people who we've helped to be able to start podcasts and different things like that. There's people who we've helped to grow. There's people, right? There's things that we've done in the community. There's people we've fed. I'm not talking about once or twice. I'm talking about there's people for years we fed, right? There's people for years that we made it a point, whether everybody knew about it or not. There's people whose children could have been in jail for many, many years for things they deserve to be in jail for. And yet somehow we were able to help it to where maybe they might have to deal with what they did for like 2 to 4 years, something like that. But we praise Yah that they don't have to be in there for, a life sentence or something crazy, right? Like that's what we're supposed to do. If the Levite's going to get something, then everybody in the community is supposed to be getting something. To the best of our ability, right? We're not saying that every single need of the Levite better be met, right? But if the Levite can be taken care of, this is the goal. This is what it's supposed to be. If the Levite can be taken care of, everybody or someone going to have to be taken care of. But that goes back to, once again, why is it not taught that taking care of the community is righteousness? The pastor's not the only person in the community. Do you not know? Like, this is real talk. In churches, people will get upset with you. I've been here and done it because I did the whole church setup and I tried to do the SOC and the church venue and church mindset and all that for a little bit. People will get upset. I've had overseers and other pastors and stuff and apostles get upset when I'll say, yeah, I'm probably not going to worry about doing blah, blah, and this and that or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, no, you're the pastor. And they better make sure, blah, blah. But I'm like, it's not even in the word that they have to do that. No, you're the pastor. And they better make sure. And there better be a pastor's day. And there better be a first lady's day. And blah, blah. I was like, that's not in the word. If they want to honor their pastor, by all means. And I still get kind of shy about that stuff. But, and it's very emotional for me at times because I love y'all. And we have very very close. We're a very close knit community. That being said, as a that being said, as a pastor, like I really appreciate what you guys do, and yeah, if y'all want to honor and stuff like that, that's stuff that you guys decide. And if y'all say we want to do that, then we'll make it happen. But there's not on the schedule anything about a pastor's celebration day. But people would be upset. Or if we were having an assembly and stuff, and they'd be like, well, you should be sitting behind them in a chair and this and that while they preaching and stuff. I'm like, where in the word does it say that? That's an overseer thing. That's what they did in chattel slavery. Where does it say in the word that if Peter was sent out, matter of fact, they were sent out 2 by 2, Yehoshua wasn't even there with them. Right. But people have this thing where it's so muddy. And so it's not about, right. If Minister Tamara is invited to preach on another platform or whatever, right. Like what says I got to show up? You said you got upset. That's why you left the last church ain't Pastor's Day. Many broken cultures. Yeah, you got to have understanding. And all you're getting have a standard that you're under. Right. And this is one of the things that's missing from us a lot. Right. So, okay. Amen. We still got a little time. So you gotta offer up was correct. Right. Let's fast forward a little bit. Malachi chapter 1, verse 9. And now I pray you, beseech Elohim, beg of Elohim, what? That he will be gracious, that he'll reveal himself unto us. This has been by your means, will he regard your persons. Okay. And now I pray you, beseech, because of what you've done, beseech Elohim, that he will reveal himself unto us, that he will give mercy even unto us. This has been by your means, will he regard your person, saith Yahweh Elohim, or Yahweh of hosts. Who is there even among you that would shut the doors for naught? Neither do ye kindle fire on mine altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, saith Yahweh of hosts. That hurts. I have no pleasure in you. Neither will I accept an offering at your hand. In other words, if you're not going to do it right, like who shuts the doors for no reason? Who shuts the doors for no reason? Right? Who puts a fire on, period? Who turns on the stove, let alone who burns the altar for no reason? Because you'll do this for no reason, you don't even think about what you're doing. You're just going through the motions. And now you haven't even picked up on the fact that now it's a cultural thing. It's become a tradition for you where you stepped outside of the actual culture of Yah. And now you're doing this tradition that's against me. He says, look, I'm not even going to accept an offering at your hand. I don't even want it. That hurt. When I saw that the first time, that hurt me. And he's talking to who? The priest. Who are supposed to make the offerings and the sacrifices on behalf of those of Israel? The priest. Your problem is the priest. That's one of them. Right? Don't throw the baby out. But maybe some of your priests are that dirty bathwater. You might want to let them go. Oh, that hurts. That's why we got to be careful. My fellow ministerial staff, we best be careful. And by the way, know what you're signed up for. Any kind of leader in any kind of way. We're all leaders in many different dimensions and ways concerning our families, right? Leaders. What'd you say? Oh, without faith it is impossible to please Yah. Their faith was lost. I'm not. Watch this. Leaders, be careful. Be careful, because they're supposed to come to us. I'm going to say that again. They're supposed to come to us. I'm going to say that again. Those who are of Yehoshua, those being grafted in, those who are going to be kingdom-minded, they're supposed to come to us. I don't even like dealing with people. So they're supposed to come to us. I got stuff going on in my life and blah. They're supposed to come to us. When I talk to sister so-and-so, she just be going off and this and that. I don't even think she really recognized blah, blah. Yeah, let those of us that are strong take on the infirmities of the weak. They're supposed to come to us. Why everybody always coming to me with their problems? Look, he didn't send you to those who are not in need of a physician. They're supposed to come to us. I'm just trying to help you out. This is annoying sometimes. I can't even get a moment's rest. Yeah. They're supposed to they're supposed to come to us. I know you want to hear this, but that's what you signed up for. I don't even feel so-and-so got locked up. Yeah, go visit them in the prisons. So-and-so's always hungry. Yeah, feed them. So-and-so's always talking about they thirsty. Yeah, give them something to drink. So-and-so's always in somebody's always in the hospital. Yeah, go see about them. This person not even Israel. They're a foreigner. They're trying to become, but they asking me all these stupid questions. If they was Israel, they would know the answers. Yeah. If you take care of them, then you also take care of your husband. That's what he said. They're supposed to come to us. If they don't come to us and we're the standard, where are they going to get the standard from? They've got to understand you in order to understand the standard. Then after a while, they won't be under you. They'll be under the standard. Praise God. But they're coming in right now and they are ignorant, right? And guess what? If you allow them to stay out there, the indignation that would just be for them is now going to be turned on you. Malachi chapter 1, verse 10. Who is there even among you that would shut the doors for naught? Neither do you kindle fire on mine altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, saith Yahweh of hosts. Neither will I accept an offering at your hand. Verse 11. For from the rising of the sun, even unto the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles. Wait a minute. That's not even, I thought that was a New Testament thing. No such thing as Old and New Testament anyways, right? Should have asked me for the ministry. Praise God. Right? From the rising of the sun, I know y'all don't want to hear this. This is Malachi. This is 400 years before Christ. After Malachi chapter 4, verse 6, there shall not be anything else that's going to be written out in this thing that you call the Bible until Malachi chapter 1. It's going to be Matthew chapter 1. It's going to be 400 years later. 400 years of silence. Malachi chapter 1, verse 11. From the rising of the sun, even to the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles. Wait a minute. I thought the Gentiles was only, the gens people was only something we was paying attention to when Christ showed up. Nope. For from the rising of the sun, even to the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles, and in every place incense shall be offered unto my name. Every place. Now they still got to be about the law. They still got to have a circumcised heart. They got to be grafted in, but still, right? And in every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a pure offering, my name shall be great among the heathen. Even if they don't believe in my name, they'll respect it. Even if they don't want to do what they're supposed to do, they'll respect it. Why is it that the Levites don't respect, but others respect? Verse 12, Malachi chapter 1, verse 12. But ye, so wait a minute, the heathen, the Gentiles got this straight. But what? But ye have profaned it. In that ye say, the table of Yahweh is polluted, and the fruit thereof, and his meat is contemptible. Now, once again, how is it that you can say this? How is it that the Levites can say this? They weren't saying this necessarily out their mouth, right? They're saying, bring your offering, or we do an offering, and this is holy, and blah, blah. But when you did it, you said it. This is a love language thing. Now, your actions are speaking for you. When you put that polluted bread on my table, you told me that you thought that it was all right for my table to be contemptible. Right? When you put blind sheep on my table, you told me it was all right to offer up blind sheep to me, as if the blind, me, I'm too blind to see that you are trying to put something blind on my table. Ye profaned it, in that ye say the table of Yahweh is polluted, and the fruit thereof, and even his meat is contemptible. Malachi chapter 1, verse 13. Ye said, not me, ye said also, behold, what a weariness is it. It's too tiresome. Remember, this is the burden. What does burden mean? Unleavened. It's too tiresome to keep it unleavened, to not puff myself up, to not make it fluffy, to not make it to where it might be hard and difficult. Right? That's Malachi chapter 1, verse 1. This is the burden, the unleavened of Yahweh. for Israel through his servant Malachi. Right? Ye also said, Malachi 1:13, you said, behold, pay attention, what a weariness is it? It's too much. Now, mental health is necessary. Take care of yourself, do this. But look, this is what you signed up for, baby boy. This is what you signed up for, baby girl. I got to say this to myself in the mirror sometimes because I be ready to throw in the towel too. And then Yah says, well, I'm sitting up there and the Holy Spirit says, and I be sitting. Sometimes you even got to encourage yourself. Wait a minute, I am the righteousness of Elohim. Wait a minute, there's not one thing that he would put before me that is not, there's not any kind of thing that I might be tempted with or any temptation that is uncommon to man. Wait a minute, if he did it before, he'll do it again. All these things that we say, you have to remind yourself of who you are. The kingdom of heaven belongs inside of me. I'm sitting up here trying to get with new norms and having to figure out how to stretch to make sure that I'm not dealing with nerve damage throughout the day and stuff like that. Getting upset because I can't just stand all day, every day like I used to and stuff like that. Man, I'm supposed to make 150 years. Stuff got to kick in. Well, in the meantime, are you going to be on live or not? You said also, behold, pay attention, what a weariness is it. And ye have snuffed at it, saith Yahweh of hosts. And ye brought that which was torn, and the lame, and the sick. Thus ye brought me an offering. Should I accept this of your hand, saith Yahweh? Because it's a lot, you can go ahead and give me a little. I'd rather you give me nothing at all. Well, I'll just go ahead and give up. Then this when people, I'll just go ahead and give up. There's too much. And they ask me for this, and I ain't signed up for them, blah, blah. Look, I'll be honest. I didn't know what I signed up for either. But the first thing I signed up for, quiet as kept, is obedience. In your home, I know, fathers, we didn't know what being a father really was. Husbands, we didn't know what being a husband really was. Wives, you didn't know what being a wife really was. Mothers, you didn't know what being a mother really was. But you're going to let your child just be out there, or you're going to train them up and do the best you can. You're going to just give them the little pieces. And sometimes we do. I'm tired, just go in there and get whatever. Just go ahead, hang out with whoever. No, I'm in this, right? My marriage, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, whatever. Like, I'm done, right? If you done, be done because it's lawful. Praise Yah. But if he ain't say it's done, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Malachi 1 verse 14. But cursed, now watch this, and all that, but cursed be who? The deceiver, which hath in his flock a male, and voweth, and sacrifice unto Yahweh a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, saith Yahweh of hosts, and my name is dreadful amongst the heathen. So even if the heathen don't follow me, they at least recognize that when my name is spoken, attention better be given. Don't be like a deceiver. Don't be cursed. Levites in particular, but every leader here don't be deceived. Don't be a deceiver to where you have have in your flock a male. You promise him you're going to give him a male. You make a vow unto him, and then you make this vow and you sacrifice unto Yah something corrupt. You said, I'm going to give you the best of what I have, and then you just give him whatever. Because if we do it in leadership, guess what? Those who follow are going to follow suit. That we sit up there and have the audacity to say, I can't believe what the people of Yah are doing. They don't even get it, and this and that and all this other stuff. And Yah, it's like they following you. I can believe it. Right? This is why it says, what is that? I can't recall the place exactly where Paul is talking and he says, forgive me for not recognizing the epistle off the top of my head, but Paul is talking, Paul is talking, and he says, hey, when you talk about, what is it? Excuse me. What is he saying? Oh, he says, it shouldn't surprise you when there are apostles that are false and that are fake, because he says that they are of their father, the devil, basically. And if the devil can change himself into an angel of light, then an apostle being false shouldn't be a surprise. So if we're having issues with this stuff, we got to look at the priest ourselves. He said, that's great. You get it. And you pray to get it. Yeah, watch this. Malachi chapter 2, verse 1. Oh, now, and now, O ye priest, this commandment is for you. Wait a minute. Who is this commandment for? I thought there were only 613 commandments. That's why we say everything that the king decrees, it must be established, right? And now, Malachi chapter 2, verse 1, and now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. Verse 2, if ye will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, you will not make it part of your passion, to give glory unto my Sham, my name, my authority, saith Yahweh of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Wait a minute. I thought blessings and stuff that they're just all no. He said, I'll curse your blessings. I'll curse the things that I gave you. It's my right to do so. It's my right to do so. I'm the king. He says, I'll curse your blessings. That one hit hard for me. I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because ye do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed. I'll give them away to a reprobate mind, and spread dung upon your faces. I'll make you look like straight up crap is on your face, and I'll make you smell like it. That's what you want. Even the dung of your solemn feast, and one shall take you away with it, right? And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, said the Lord of hosts. These are what? The priest. Verse 5, my covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me and was afraid before my name. Wait a minute. So he says, when I made a covenant, my covenant with Levi was what? Life and peace. And I gave them to him for fear, for reverence, wherewith he feared me. Because Levi feared me, I allowed that respect to be something to where he would be respected. Don't miss this. Right? If you are in the Levitical priesthood, then what the reason why you were given this assignment is because Yah could see that you respect him, not because you're a better teacher or a better orator. He knew you become a greater teacher because you respect him enough to study, not because you were the best wordsmith, but he knows that you respect him enough to where you will never preach a word without giving proper reverence to words. Not because you already knew etymology, but because you knew that man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yah. That's why he gave you that. Now watch this verse. So let's read verse 5 and then go into verse 6. Malachi 2, verse 5. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me and was afraid before my authority, my name. The law of truth was in his mouth. It was already in his mouth. That's why I gave it to him. The law of truth. The lawless keep saying, ordain me. The lawless keep saying, license me. The lawless keep saying, we don't need the law. He said, the reason I make, so watch this. Oh, my greatness. Come on, Holy Spirit. The reason that I allow Levites is because the law of truth was already in their mouth. So if you tell me that there is no law of a mouth, there is no law of truth, then are you my Levite? Before Christ was born, the law of truth was already in his mouth. You don't become a priest so that you can learn the law. You become a priest because you already have the word of the Most High, his law, in your mouth. Hold on to that, Levites. Hold on to that. Because the law is in your mouth, that's why he called you. You never thought about that, did you? I don't even know if I ever said that before, to be honest. So forgive me if I never have. But take that one to the bank. The law of truth is already in your mouth. And iniquity was not found in his lips. You weren't called to preach because you aren't sinful. That's why even before Paul was called to preach, Paul was first called to be blinded and to be taught. Once he was taught, then he had to be brought before people and be called to preach, because he was called to preach, and then had to still get what? Be authorized by other preachers. We just go, oh, he just fell off his beast, which we don't know, but he just fell to the ground and then he got up and then he just started preaching. No. Now, Paul had some things in his heart that if they could be changed right, at least he had the right passion and he thought he was doing it for the correct reason. But at the end of the day, Paul, right? At the end of the day, Paul is what? Paul is moving. And Paul has been given this, but Paul first has to make sure that the law of truth was in his mouth. And iniquity, that means not being lawless, right? Right. So if you were, I'm sorry, iniquity means to be lawless or to be on the opposite side of the law. So if you are in iniquity on the opposite side of the law, and it's found in your lips, if that's what you're preaching, then you're not a Levite. You weren't called if you don't got this together. This is why the training is necessary. So the law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, they should keep intimacy, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger, the angel, the messenger of Jehovah of hosts. People should be seeking. I'm tired of people seeking. That's what they're coming for. You're a Levite. You see, the problem is with us. We let this stuff be in there. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should keep the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of Jehovah of hosts. But ye are departed out of the way. You're not even followers of the way anymore. You are departed out of the way. Ye have cursed many to stumble at the law. When you curse people to stumble when it comes to the law, you have cursed them. I say this, and I say this with the authority of Jehovah at Yahashua HaMashiach at Ravak HaKodash. I say this with my full chest. I say it and I mean it 100%. Any preacher who is anti-law, ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith Jehovah of hosts. That's Malachi chapter 2, verse 9. Let me read Malachi chapter 2, verse 7 and verse 8 together. I'm sorry, that's Malachi 2. Let's read Malachi 2, verses 7 through 9. This is the word of Yah for the people of Yah, for Israel. This is what it says, right? This is your Bible. Read your Bible. It'll bless you. You ready? Starting in Malachi 2:7, going through 2:9. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of Jehovah of hosts. But ye are departed out of the way. Ye have you have caused many to stumble at the law. Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith Jehovah of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, all the nation, according as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. You'll keep what you want, and you'll dismiss what you want, as if it's your law to begin with. If you're a disobedient priest, what makes you think that those that follow the priest won't be disobedient? That's heavy, but it's real. I wish we had a little more time. We're going to skip over to Malachi chapter 3, and then we're going to skip over to Malachi chapter 4. Right? If we had more time, we'd go through the whole thing of Malachi. This thing is heavy. Because then he starts talking about how Judah has dealt with the Most High treacherously. This thing is heavy. I'm just saying, it's heavy, but we need to hear this stuff. And he starts with making sure you recognize, man, Jacob and Esau's spirit better be separated. And you better stop saying how much I don't love you. Watch this. Let's go to Malachi chapter 3. Malachi chapter 3. We go straight to the tithe only, but let's start at verse 1. We got to be quick. Time is up. All right, watch this. Malachi chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, Hananiah, pay attention. I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. Now, this is talking about John the Baptist, actually. Right, because he shall prepare the way before me, and Jehovah, or Adon, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith Jehovah of hosts. So we should be looking for a message that's somebody who's showing us how Messiah, or the Messiah, is getting ready to come and what he presents. And because he's coming back. All right. Malachi 3, verse 2. But who may abide in the day of his coming? Who's going to live? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and like a fuller's soap. In other words, when he shows up, he's like somebody that burns all the dirt out of the gold, or he's like somebody who literally takes all of the dirty clothes from the neighborhood and washes them. Thank you, Jeremy. All right, this is what it's saying. Verse 3, and he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi. Who is he coming for again first? The sons of Levi. Who's he coming to first? The preachers. We're off. Right? And purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Yahweh an offering in righteousness, right? Lawful standing. Verse 4, then shall the offering of Yahweh, or of Judah, right? The ones who have dealt with them treacherously, if you read some of the other stuff in chapter 2, then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto Yahweh, as in the days of old, and as in former years. It used to be like this, he's saying, but we got away from being followers of the way. We have departed from the way. Malachi chapter 3, verse 5 then says, and I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be swift witness against the sorcerers. Anybody using witchcraft, you put on notice. And against the adulterers. Anybody out here trying to make excuses for having any relationship outside of marriage properly. He's coming for you. And against false swearers. Those who are swearing that we should live by something and they lying to you because they're trying to keep viewers or trying to build up an assembly or trying to make sure that everybody's comfortable. Okay, he's coming for you. What else? And against those that oppress the hireling in his wages. Wait a minute. For those that have people under them that are getting paid or should be getting paid or whatever, and you don't give them anything. Or you coming for and they only make a little bit and you can't find. They're giving tithes, offering, cool, but you don't help them out with anything. You oppress them. You're an oppressor. The widow, you're an oppressed the hireling and his wages. You oppress the widow. You oppress the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. Even the foreigner who's trying to get it together, and you would turn him aside. He said, I'm coming for you. And if you don't fear me, he said, I'm coming to you. Because only people who are only oppressors could be people who don't fear Yah, or only people who don't fear Yah could be oppressors. Right? There's no way that you can oppress people and fear Yah at the same time. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts. Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. Why? For I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. If I ever changed who I was, Israel would be done. Why are you changing up on me when I don't change up on you? If I ever changed up who I was, thus saith Yahweh, if I ever changed up who I was, y'all be done. You thought you would have made it from the point of no return, from Guinea and Negro land? You thought that you would ever be able to come back to the point of no return and be able to say, I'm reestablished and my family is here, my story is here, and his story doesn't have anything to do with me anymore? If I changed it up on you, why do you keep changing it up on me? Are you not my wife, Israel? Jeremiah chapter 3. How you doing, Yahweh Hashem? Right? Watch this. For I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Verse 7. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinances. Well, my dad, he worshiped like this. Well, my mama, she worshiped like this. Yeah, they were wrong too. It hurts. Well, we got to put this in the leaven box. We got to remove this sinful mindset. We got to remove this leaven of trying to make things rise up to what we want and keep it steady. Even from the days of your fathers, you are gone away from mine ordinances and have not kept them. Return to me, and I will return to you, saith Yahweh of hosts. Recall that. We're going to revisit that in a second. We don't have that much time, so I'm sprinting through the end of this. But don't forget that part. Yeah, don't follow traditions over law. If they're lawful traditions, that's one thing. But don't try to make any tradition law just because your family was cool with it, right? Return unto me. Remember this. Bring this back to you. This is going to be brought back to your remembrance in a second. Hold this in your memory bank. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith Yahweh of hosts. But ye said, now watch this. This is when it gets even heavier. Because we don't use tithes and offering correctly, this is what has started to happen. And because it's the religious leaders who don't use it correctly, they've now made you start doubting what the word says and how to build up a nation. You said, do Christians worship a Jewish man? No, because Yahshua or Yeshua or Yahushua, etc., he's not Jewish. Right? They don't know that. But also, too, if they think that he's the true one, then they probably would not look for somebody Jewish. They would look for somebody that's Jew. And more than likely, and not more than likely, actually not an Ashkenazi Jew and not a Khazarian Jew, but they would actually look for a Sephardic Jew. And if you know, right, and by the way, the letter J doesn't exist in Hebrew anyway, so they wouldn't have been looking for a Jew, right? So that has nothing to do with it, right? Once again, getting in somebody else's culture and trying to make something that doesn't belong, right? If you don't know what a Sephardic Jew is, then there's no way to even really answer that question, especially since I only have a few minutes left. If you don't know what a Sephardic Jew is, then you're already off. If you don't know what where the scattered Israelites were in Guinea in the 17 to 1800s, you're already far off, right? If you don't know where the term Middle East came from and started, on top of that, in that it was British people who then were in line with Ashkenazi and with which family is that? And I'm not even doing conspiracy theory. This stuff you can look up. Rothschild, the Rothschild family. That's those two families were who the land was given to through Britain, who could no longer keep the people who they had enslaved there under their thumb because they had lost money during World War II. So they sold back the land to people that weren't. So if you don't know the difference between a Sephardic Jew and an Ashkenazi and a Khazarian, and you don't know about Negro land, and you don't know those things, then we're not even having the same conversation. But I'm not a Christian. I think that might be part of the things too. You hear me talking about Tanakh or law or scrolls or what we call the Bible. I think your mindset is that you're coming from a Christian mindset. That's not my culture, right? That's somebody else's. That being said, Malachi 3:7, watch this. Even from, and who are we talking about? The Levites, right? You ready? Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinances. Ordinances are laws. Okay. You've gone away from my laws and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith Jehovah of hosts. But ye said, just like he said in Malachi chapter 1, when you say that I don't love you, and then he says, look, I put you above Esau and protected you from him. And I gave you a legacy. I even took away where he didn't even have heritage and stuff anymore. He has to go back to what you have because he has nothing, because he got away from me and gave up the birthright, even if there was a chance he could keep it. So now here we go, Malachi 3, verse 7. But ye said, wherein shall we return? He says, return unto me. And you say, well, where shall we return? It's like when King Saul was out there doing his thing, and the prophet was sent. And he said, the prophet was sent to King Saul, and the prophet says, you've been evil, and I'm here to tell you what the Most High said. And Saul in his pride says, well, say on. Right? Like, I don't care. What you gonna do? What you gonna say? I'm the king. Bump you. This is what we do to Yah. So you say, not I say, not the world says, but Yah says that you say Israel. Once again, he talking to us. How you doing, Unique? And thanks for being part of the community. Thank you for the love. Right? He says, Yah says, you say, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob Elacham? Just like you were trying to say, well, how can you say that just because we give unclean sacrifices, right? How can you say that just because we give unclean things to you, that the sacrifices are unclean? Foolishness, trying to get around stuff, right? Well, here we are in the same book, right? Malachi chapter 3, verse 8. You just in Malachi 3:7, you say, wherein shall we return? Verse 8, will a man rob Elacham? Here's his response. He says, yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? His response is, in tithes and offerings. I know everybody get upset. See, he just money hungry and stuff. No. Whoever you giving them to, because you give tithes and offering all day. Some of y'all tithe to McDonald's. You're going to tithe faithfully. Some of you going to tithe to whatever your sugar addiction is. Some of you going to tithe to your beer. Some of you going to tithe to that wine or them wine coolers. Some of you going to tithe to the club, right? You already got what you tithe, who you give tribute to. Real talk. You already give tribute to somebody. I'm not here to worry about stuff. You might not ever listen to me again after this. That's cool, right? I'm not talking about what you need to put in my pocket. I'm talking about we say, will a man rob Elacham? And he said, yes, you have robbed me. And then you say, wherein have we robbed you? And he said, in tithes and offering. And because of this, he uses the same language he used earlier in Malachi chapter 1 and Malachi chapter 2. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. That can be looked at two ways. Either the whole nation has robbed me because you priests are not giving proper tithes and offering when people give you what they're giving you, or straight up, when you don't give the tithes and offering, you don't just rob me, you rob the whole nation. Why? Because where's the tithe going to for the nation? Malachi chapter 3, verse 10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. It's a storage facility for the house. The word house in Hebrew also doubles for the word family. So if you take stuff away from the tithe, you're taking stuff away from your family, from the nation of Israel. So not only did you rob me, you robbed my children and you robbed your brothers and sisters. Now, if somebody says, well, the church I go to, they don't even use the tithe right. Okay, then stop going to them because they're robbing. They're robbers. But it doesn't mean don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It doesn't mean that we stop providing a storehouse that people can go to, that they can benefit from, and we can build a nation together. That never was the case. It was never gotten rid of. You've never seen a scripture that says stop tithing. Your time. Stop. You've never seen a scripture that says stop giving your first 10% of your time to the Most High and to Israel. You've never seen a scripture that says stop giving the first 10% of the food that you have to Israel and to yourself. I mean, until the Most High. You've never seen that scripture. You've never seen a scripture that says, hey, stop giving the first 10% of your clothing. Uh-oh. You never see the tithe is everything. It's not just only money. Before it was little pieces of paper, little pieces of cloth, right? Before it was that, money was stuff that you interchanged. It was interchangeable with people. It wasn't always gold or silver. It's nice that we used to give out a cup of sugar, but there used to be a little bit of time to where, hey, look, there used to be times to where if somebody in the community wasn't eating, other people in the community cooked extra and would tell people, give them the best of what we got. Go over to Susie's house. I know Susie ain't got no food. Tell Susie's mama that I made this for her or whatever, and that should get them through the next couple of days. Go down to John and them house and take some of this chicken, take some of this turkey that I just made, take some of this stuff and take some of these mashed potatoes. Make sure that they get some food down there. I know that they ain't been eating and they don't want to tell anybody. Tell him he ain't got to be proud. Tell him I said that. Don't tell anybody else where you taking it. Just tell him that I said that. I want him to know that I'm paying attention. That's how we used to roll. That's community. That's a tithe. You thinking different. That's a tithe. Some of the people that we've helped at SOC, we could have helped a lot more, but we find out that y'all are 2 years, several months, 100 years, it feel like in debt and going through craziness and stuff, or going through problems. Or you've been out on the street for this much, and when we didn't even know you were out there because you wouldn't say anything. Sometimes it makes it hard to tithe and give to you. We might not have everything, but we can at least look, especially if you're in an area that we got people in. We got people that be living in the same area as you are, or some people that don't mind driving 2-3 hours just to make sure that you're straight. You said, why are people still praying to Jesus? I mean, for many reasons that you probably already know. To be honest, we don't pray to Jesus. So I don't know about that. But I'm not a Christian, right? I think we already know that part. But anyway, I don't have as much time as I normally would. And babe, if you're on us, 11, love you. So yeah, take this plate over to Mrs. Watkins. Yeah, grandma fed the hungry. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. Right. So anyways, we think that tithe is only money. Before there was money. Yeah, I saw it, babe. I was just saying, love you, appreciate you. So tithe is only money. We think tithe is only money. No, tithe is time. Time is a kind word. Have you ever thought about when you get ready to talk to somebody, maybe your conversation would go different if you made sure that the first 10% of your words were kind? Before you get into the next 90 that's going to tear them up, you could at least start off with, love you so much. Appreciate you. I mean, a tithe, the principle is so amazing. We only think about money. Well, we're supposed to tithe everything because we're supposed to be community. The missing ingredient is that all these cats that was in the Bible, they live with each other. That's one of the biggest ingredients. What'd you say, your grandmama? did that too. She always fed the hungry, even our enemies. Yeah, because there was even terms. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So why would I not make sure my enemies are fed? And guess what? When I fed some of the enemies realized I'm not the enemy. That's that inner me stuff. They did something to me and I can't forgive. No, no, no. If so-and-so's child is hungry, that baby don't deserve to be hungry because their mama can't stand me. We're going to get them some food. There's people that talk a lot of trash about me. If they need something, they get it. If I got extra, I'll get you something. All right. All right. Let's finish up. So bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. That's who it's for. And one of the reasons we're cursed with a curse is because we robbed Yah, because we didn't bring anything into the storehouse, the storage facility for the house, the storage facility for the family, and right, and that there would be meat in his house, in his family, and prove him. See, we didn't even prove to him, or we didn't ask for him to prove anything. We say, I'm not going to give you anything, Yah, but prove me your value, prove me your worth, prove me who you are. He's like, hold on. He's like, if you bring me all the tithes into the storehouse, that there's meat in mine house, then watch me prove. I don't have to prove anything to you, and you won't even bring anything to take care of the family. What kind of sense that made? You won't make sure that the family's taken care of, but then you want me to bless the family. Like, now I can do it, but see, now you're tempting me. Don't tempt me. And even if I do it and you weren't giving in, but they were giving in, why should I give you anything? And who is this to once again? Mainly the Levites. Who is it to overall? Israel. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there might be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith Yahweh of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing, that there will not be room enough to receive it. In other words, it means it's going to rain, and the crops will get the rain, and watch the food grow, and seed come out, and fruit, etc. How you doing, Sister Deborah? And then watch this. Not only will I do that, but I will rebuke. This is Malachi 3:11. I will rebuke the devourer for who? For your sakes, for your reputation, because you're my child. So while I make it rain, I take what you already given me in the storehouse. I'm not going to watch this. It's not even that I take it. I just want to take account of it. You can keep what's in the storehouse. Here's the wild part. Put it in a storage facility. This is just banking. Right at this point, this is investing at this point. Invest in me and let me see the investment there. Once I take full account of what's there and I see everything's on point, then that's for y'all when you're in need. In the meantime, I'll open up the windows of heaven, and pour out the water, and barakti, with the water, with the blessing that causes growth, and you'll have so much growth you won't have room to receive. Where? In your personal storehouse, to where you'll have to give 10% just to even kind of sort of start dealing with it. You're gonna have to give the first 10% because it's gonna be too much for you. You'll have to give it away. And now this time it won't just be tithes, it'll be tithes and offerings. And you'll be delighted to do so because you've seen the principle that if you have something stored up, I just give extra. I want you to live off the extra, not off the storage. Why are you afraid of the storage? The storage is for when you need in hard in the lean times. You got the 7 years of fat. Take some of that fat right now and put it in, because the 7 years of lean are coming. Store it up now. You get to the place where you ain't got nothing in the storage facility, and then you start talking about, I can't understand what's going on, and I've been faithful. No, you have robbed me in your tithes and offerings. Store it up. That's what it's for. There's coming a time to where we're going to have to live off the storage. Why is it that they don't teach us this? You're going to have to become community and at some point live off the storage. Every single one of us will at some point, hey, can you help me with a phone bill? Every single one of us at some point, hey, can you help me with gas? Hey, every single one of us at some point, hey, can you help me to do this? Can you help me to bury? Can you help me to... At some point, every single one of us will need something out of the storehouse. Problem is there's nothing in there. Right? You robbed me and you robbed your people. But if you put in, I will have it to where you don't live off the 10%. You're not living off the storage. You're living off the extra. Mess around and invest some of the extra too if you want and see what happens. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, because I made it grow. So I will rebuke him, right? Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith Jehovah of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be delightsome, a delightsome land, saith Jehovah of hosts. Your words, though, unfortunately, have been stout against me, saith Jehovah. Yet ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee? Ye have said it is vain to serve Elohim. And what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance? What profit is it that we keep his law? And that we have walked mournfully before Elohim of hosts. And now we call the proud happy. Those who are too proud to do this stuff, we call them they're happy. Yea, even they that work wickedness are set up. We set them up, and we can't wait to set them up. Yea, they that tempt Elohim are even delivered, at least so we think. But verse 16 says, then they that feared Elohim spake often one to another, and Jehovah hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Jehovah and that thought upon his name. A book of remembrance sounds familiar, doesn't it? A book where people's names are being brought back into remembrance of the Most High. Last but not least, let's skip over. We're way over on time, but let's skip over. Let's finish this up. Right? I invite you to read all of it. We read all of Malachi 1, all of Malachi 2. Most of Malachi 2. We skipped some of Malachi 3. We're going to go to Malachi 4. Let's finish in Malachi chapter 4. And recall, after this, there's going to be a 400-year silence. No scrolls written. And it just said earlier, I remember I told you, recall that let's go back to Malachi 3 real quick. Sorry. I told y'all this. Malachi chapter 3, somewhere around verse 6, verse 7. Hold on. Oh, verse 7. It says, return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith Jehovah of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Okay. Now, I told you, put that into your memory. All right. Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. This is important. Okay. Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. Here we go. For behold, pay attention, Chanaiah, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Jehovah of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. The day is coming to where those who've been sitting up here and you've just been sitting there and thinking this and that or whatever, and you thinking you all that and you don't have to give and you got extra. The day is coming where you're going to need help. And it's going to be burned up. But unto ye that fear my name, fear my authority, fear my Sham, my Shem, my Nomos, my name. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith Jehovah of hosts. Remember, bring back to your remembrance, ye the law of Moses, my servant. Now, once again, there's about to be a 400 years silence. How you doing, Dr. Green Thumbs? How you doing, Cream 81 Shabbos? There's about to be a 400-year silence before we hear again Malachi chapter 1. I'm sorry, before we hear again Matthew chapter 1. This means that pay attention to this last bit, because you're going to need to hold on to this when all this weird and false teaching and all these wild narratives show up. We just coming out, supposedly, right, of the chattel slavery of the 400 years, got people's 400 years start in different places and all that. So I'm not going to argue all that. But I'm just saying, if your mindset is we're coming out of silence, and now here we are coming back into the word and realizing Israel is in a different location that Esau is, and that spirit has no heritage anymore, nor tradition anymore, no land, no mountaintops anymore, and that people are coming looking for you, and that the Levites that have been terrible, they are being called out, and we know what to look for to see who a Levite actually is, and all these different things. Right now that we see this, Now watch this. Malachi chapter 4, verse 4. Bring this back into your remembrance. In order for you to remember something, it means you were a member of something, then you were dismembered, cut off, and now you're being brought back into remembrance. You're a member again. So we were cut off from these things we should have had. So now Malachi 4, verse 4 says, remember ye the law of Moses, my servant. They cut us off from that. Remember in this season, right? You're coming out of the silence. He says, the thing that before you went into the silence, the thing I needed you to do was what? Remember the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded him in Harab or Horeb for all Israel with statutes and judgments. I need all the statutes. I need all the judgments. I need every piece of it. I need you to remember it. Bring it back to remembrance. The law of my servant Moses. This is before. The next thing we're going to see is Christ coming on the scene. So before Christ shows up, I need you to remember all this stuff. Before Christ returns, before the second Adam shows up, before Emmanuel shows up, before the virgin birth, before I sow a seed into your belly that's going to cause something to come out that you will see manifest and cause the whole world to be flipped upside down by the 12 disciples of Christ. He says, remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel with statutes and judgment. Verse 5, behold, pay attention. I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of that great and dreadful day of Yahweh. Now, if you look at Elijah and you look at Moses, these are the two olive trees talked about in the Old Testament and the New Testament. In Zechariah, Revelation. Right? And these two olive trees, even the two that show up at the transfiguration, right? He says that he's just mentioned Moses, the law, and he now talked about Elijah, the prophet. Moses is the one who brings us out of Kemet, right? Or well, with the help of Yah, is able to be the vessel that is used to bring us out of Kemet. And then you have Elijah, the one who never even experiences death. Now, Moses' body is never taken to the devil. Elijah doesn't even experience death and leaves stuff for Elisha, right? But Elijah also is somebody who comes before kings, who heals people, who has to go against all types of stuff, who can defeat all these people, and then has to deal with a Jezebel that makes him want to run away, but still comes back. You have a Moses who goes through all these different things in his life. These two working together, the two olive trees. Pay attention when you see both of them. Moses' law brings you back into remembrance. When you hear Elijah or the spirit of Elijah or this thing being preached to the place of where it's like preaching down fire from heaven, the same Elijah that was powerful enough, recall now Malachi chapter 3, he says, if you do what you're supposed to do, he will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. That's the rain. Elijah was so powerful that he would say, because you are evil, it will not rain. All right? The two olive trees. Malachi chapter 4, verse 4, Malachi chapter 4, verse 5. So he says he's going to send both before, and we're going to see that before the coming of the great day of the dreadful day of Yahweh, right? Start paying attention. Why? Because verse 6, this is the last part that has to happen. And man, I wish I had more time for this, but we've talked about this before in our recordings and stuff, so you can always look at that stuff on YouTube and Facebook and podcasts, all that. Malachi chapter 4, verse 6. It says, and he shall return the heart of the fathers to the children. This is the last verse before 400 years of silence. And Yahweh had already said in Malachi 1, he said, if I'm your father, where's my honor? And if I'm your master, your teacher, then where's my reverence? Where's my fear? Where's my respect? Malachi 4, verse 6. And he shall turn. The one who sends us, right? The one who sends the Moses, the law. The one who sends Elijah, the preaching. Yahweh says, when you see this show up, pay attention, because now it's time for me to set stuff in order. He shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. He's been talking about curses this whole time, hasn't he? Why is that important? And then we got to take our leave. We're way over time. Why is that crucial? Why is that something that we better catch? When our fathers are established again, because our Father is established again, we'll stop throwing the babies out with the bathwater. When our mothers feel protected, because our fathers give sound direction, but their sound direction is also what? Their direction is protection and affection. Then our mothers will give the ultimate respect, and they'll teach their babies to respect father. You know your father doesn't like that in this house. That's how I was raised. It didn't even have to be said. because your room was clean because your father wanted a clean house. Fathers gave instruction, mothers laid down the law. That's Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8. It didn't have to be said. If we become fathers, sources of the word, the curses begin to go away. That's Malachi chapter 4, verse 6. And then literally, to make sure that he turns the hearts of the children to their father and the hearts of the father to their children, the father sends his child so that all of his children could become fellow heirs. I'm on. All right, we're finished. Thank you for being on. Appreciate you. Sorry for going so long, and sorry for whatever was going on. I'm still dealing with device issues, but praise God, we were able to at least get this going. I'll try to have those settled as best I can. Legit, I had stuff I was going to try and everything, and it's just not. It just ain't working. It is what it is. I can't even get this to charge for some reason. But we'll be in accordance. We'll make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. Thank you for being on. I will see you this evening, prayerfully, 8 p.m. Eastern New York time on Kofi_42. So this is Kofi_43 on TikTok. We'll be right on the same channel on YouTube. If you missed Minister Nice sermon for Rosh Chodesh Nisan for our new year, if you weren't able to make it on Zoom, and if you're not on Patreon and can't catch it for some reason, we do have that on it is on YouTube, so you can go and look it up for yourself. It's in the live video section, and it's from Tuesday, so from April 9th. So if you want to go there and look it up for yourself, you can feel free to catch that sermon. And I apologize, it's a little noisy. I was making some noise that I didn't know was that noisy, but you should still be able to hear the word. And we appreciate you. Thank you guys for being on. So we'll see you guys later this evening. We'll see you guys later this evening. Those who are going to be in Florida, don't forget we'll be in Florida, in Beverly Hills, Florida, the weekend of the 20th through the 22nd, and we'll be in Tampa on the 27th. We'll be in that area, I guess, of Florida sometime around then, but anything outside of that, we won't have specific places. We do have people that are calling, emailing, texting to make sure that we know who's coming. So if you get information from somebody, if you need information from somebody, look it up on our link tree, contact us, text us at the 202 number, etc. Some of that stuff will pop up on the shout out in a second. If you've never done a shout out with us before, it's a way that we get the information out to you all. So feel free to go ahead, stick around for the shout out. Take some screenshots, all that. We think you'll enjoy it if you've never done it with us before. But thank you, Yahashua. We really appreciate you. We know that once again, you could have been doing a whole lot of stuff, and the fact that you decided to spend some time with us, we don't take that lightly. So we really, really appreciate you. And we hope that you guys continue to have a great day. If you haven't already started in your greatness already, we hope that you continue to have a great day. And we look forward to talking to you very soon. We hope that we have an opportunity to hopefully we'll have an opportunity to see you guys, more of you, if this is your first time with us. But we're going to just do our shout out. You'll see how the shout out works. If you're on TikTok, if you want to come over from YouTube and join us in the shout out, let's go ahead and get ready to do so. That's all that I have. We give all honor and praise to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We're thankful again to everybody for being on, and we do not once again take it lightly that you spent some time with us today. So hopefully you got something out the message, and we'll see you this evening. And if you can't join us this evening, we'll be right back here tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. As always, has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And until we have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember, as always, that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family, peace. To the rest of you that are still on with us on TikTok, this is how